Defense made a motion for a mistrial. Prosecutor was up to some fuckery. Potentially damaging evidence, no basis for it. The judge specifically said, do not ask that question. Do not use that as evidence. She walked right down the path and asked the question. It may be over on Tuesday morning. Batman Bruce Wayne bitch snitch. Gerald Brooks, your constitution does not apply to me because I'm a sovereign citizen, a traveler on the land. I'm the Moorish Empire or whatever, bitch snitch. Because they're so fucking absurd. If you want to be a sovereign citizen, just do yourself a favor first. Go to YouTube here and just get every sovereign citizen that's ever been before. Find me one that won. God dang, you're right. Don't go down this. It's not the path. Don't have time for stupidity. Some clever dick on the internet didn't find the great loophole in all of the world's law. Bitch snitch. God dang, you're right. God dang, you're right. Traveler on the land. Moorish Empire, traveler on the land, bitch snitch, Moorish Empire, God dang, you're right, traveler on the land, bitch snitch, the late evening U.S. people.
In the trial of Hannah Gutierrez Reed, all eyes turn to the courtroom as the case unfolds. Hannah Gutierrez Reed, the armorer on the set of the film Rust, faces charges related to the tragic shooting incident that took place during production. On October 21, 2021, a prop firearm discharged unexpectedly, resulting in the death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins and injury to director Joel Souza. The pretrial phase has been marked by intense scrutiny of Gutierrez Reed's handling of firearms and adherence to industry safety protocols. The incident has sparked widespread discussion and raised questions about safety measures on film sets, prompting calls for stricter regulations. As Gutierrez Reed prepares to face trial, the outcome remains uncertain, with the film industry watching closely for potential implications on set safety standards. For further developments in this high-profile trial, stay tuned on the Legal Vices channel as the case of Hannah Gutierrez Reed continues to unfold.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it with, however good it feels, however many times you're going to do it, and why you're even doing it in the first place, I don't care. I'm just glad you're doing it here with me, Legal Vices, on my little old channel, Legal Vices. We just wrapped up a weird and wild introduction to the what the hails situation that's going on. For those of you that aren't familiar with that, or even if you are familiar with it, go check out the 2-hour stream I just did. I had some great foundation laid. I was way over my head. I jumped out of a plane without a parachute, trying to just dive straight into that and figure out what's going on. I had two great assistants to talk me through the foundation, the background of that. And so now I think we can hit the ground running with that. I'm so grateful to Megan Fox and Tug for spending some time with me, especially Tug. I know I got him out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning to come and hang out with little old me. Tug is a great guy. Megan Fox, you know and love her. So go back and watch Tug, me, and Megan try to wrap my mind around this silly what the hails case. And we're going to continue following that. So we had a great stream there. And a lot of you, I hope, followed over from that. And you're here to watch the trial. The trial, today's session is supposed to start in about 24 minutes from now. They're usually a little bit late, and we've got one witness to catch up with from last Friday. So when we jump into this, we'll watch The Last Witness from Friday, and then we'll just talk amongst ourselves until court starts. And then we'll be watching it, sorry to say, at normal speed. We won't be able to watch it at 1.75 speed like we normally do. Right. So there we go. This has been a good day. This has been interesting. Right. So without further ado, let me say welcome to the 371 of you that are still I don't know how many of you followed me over. If you are a regular viewer, sit this one out. If you're a new viewer, if this is the first time you've seen me and you followed me over from the previous What the Hail stream just to see what this is all about, put a 1 in the chat. And there's probably gonna be no ones, but here's where my ego is either gonna be raised to soar on eagle's wings, or it's just gonna torpedo. So if this is the first time you're seeing me and you followed me over, hit a 1 in chat. All right, there's literally no ones in chat, so all right, whatever. Everybody's 69. Everybody's 69. Oh, there are a few. Cool. Bush, come on, Bush, you're a regular viewer. This is like my Miss. Oh, all right. There's been a couple of you here, so that's great. All right, I'm just curious. All right, Jay Lieb got you are not a new viewer. All right, thank you so much, everybody. Just a hippie number. You got 2 ones. Everybody wants to 69, so why not? 69 all around. Come on, everybody. Moxie, what's up, dude? Speaking of early ass, oh my God, it's way early on the West Coast. Tell me you just didn't go to sleep and you're not up at this god-awful time. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Let's do this. I don't have the like and subscribe poll put up yet. We'll do that once this kicks off because I've got to pie. Beverly Hills 90210. All right. Sorry, I had a squirrel moment there. Right, we're good to go. I'll put up the like and subscribe poll once we get going because I have to think of something creative to say. But as for now, I am so low rent. I got my giant glass of wine here. I was gonna have it during the last stream, but I broke off the cork and I couldn't get it out, so I had to get the cork out. So we've got the Cabernet Sauvignon and the popcorn in my new Dune bucket. Yeah, because I got to go to a sneak preview 2 days before the rest of the world saw it. I got to see Dune at IMAX, and so I got this is the popcorn bucket here in Korea. It's not that silly, weird adult marital aid looking toy thing. They don't do stupid stuff like that here. So there we go. That's my Dune popcorn bucket. I'll try not to munch too much, but right. We do have some Archive 37 with an important. I thought I saw someone mention it too, but this is the one that gets the clipped. SCOTUS opinion just dropped. Presidential immunity confirmed, as well it should be. There you go. Unanimous decision for Trump. That's awesome. The SCOTUS rule. See, that's the thing. They may have political leanings when they're appointed to the bench, but when you're messing with something as absolutely fundamental as presidential immunity, you kind of come together, and regardless of political leanings, regardless of how they may have wanted to decide, they need to follow the law. So it's not surprising, but it's good to hear. Yes, Moxie. This was the wine from the day that you said you were having it, and I said, now you made me want it, so I had it. All right, there we go, peeps. Let's do this. Let's bring this on up. I need to close out these windows. Yes, close all tabs. Save changes. I didn't make any changes to any tabs. All right, close this one. You can see I had to do this on the fly because we just went straight over from the other stream to this. All right, this is the last witness from last Friday. I don't know who it's going to be because the previous witness was the medic who has filed a lawsuit against Alec Baldwin, Hannah, and the production company, and just about everybody else for emotional damage, for intentional infliction of emotional distress, and all these other things. The medic is saying that she was traumatized by the blood, and the defense kind of took her apart and said, you've been working in emergency rooms, you've been working in these other clinics, you've been working in these other situations, and you're traumatized by this one shooting. So yeah, they kind of took her to task there. and she's just getting off the stand. So share the screen, day 7, last witness. This is the medic leaving. The medic is also married to the key grip, I believe he was, who is also filing a lawsuit for intentional infliction of emotional distress against everybody except Hannah. And I assume he didn't bring the lawsuit against Hannah because she doesn't have any money and he knows it. So, all right, she's walking out. Let's see who walks in. I'll put up the banner as always, and I'll put up a like and subscribe poll. But in the meantime, the 452 of you that are here, bless you for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Feel free to hang out and chat and contribute. Super chats during our trials. We'll flash them up on the screen so that you know that I got them, and then we'll read them when there's lulls, when they change witnesses, when there's breaks, and things like that. That's how we'll handle the super chats. Not requested, not required, not mandated, but it does guarantee that your chats will get read, your chats will get seen and addressed. Otherwise, I'll try to pay attention to chat as much as I can and pull up the other comments that I find particularly witty or noteworthy, or just I happen to see. And with that, let's get it on. Public. There's like 2 rows for the public. There's nobody in the media seats. I hope there's audio. Oh, they're conferring. They haven't announced the next witness yet, so I don't know what they're conferring about on the bench. Maybe they're conferring about who the witness should be or whatnot. But let's keep going.
Okay. Mr. Bull. Oh, I'm sorry.
Jury question? Put us up to the normal 1.5 speed because they talk slow in New Mexico. Is this a jury question? We've only had like 1 jury question which wasn't accepted by the court.
The emotional expense, her narrative, where she said, "Can I expand on that?" And then she continued on and on and on. That's what you're going to strike. Okay, you're going to disregard that as evidence.
Okay, so she was talking about emotional stuff that had no business being in, and the judge. First of all, the prosecutor wanted the medic to testify about some emotional stuff, and the defense rightfully objected. But they had a little bench conference, and apparently the court allowed the question for some limited answer. Then she started talking about her kids. I want justice. I filed my lawsuit so that for justice, so there could be change. And the kid, was without a father. The kid's without a mother, and the husband. And then the judge says, "Well, this isn't what I thought she was going to say." So she ordered the testimony to be stricken. And I guess the jury was asking for clarification as to what they're not supposed to pay attention to. And so she's telling the jury what they're not supposed to pay attention to, what they're supposed to pretend to forget that they heard. Because as the saying goes, you can never unring a bell.
Emotional expense, her narrative, where she said, "Can I expand on that?" And then she continued on and on and on. That's what you're going to strike. Okay, you're going to disregard that as evidence. The rest of it, her direct, her cross-examination, and then her redirect, except when she said, "Can I expand on that?" And then went into, her personal trauma. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, thank you.
Interesting.
You ready for the next witness?
Yes, I am.
State calls Mamie Mitchell.
Amy Mitchell. Who is Amy Mitchell? Let's find out who Amy
Counsel.
Mitchell is.
Counsel Search.
God, these guys are getting a work. Oh, she's a tiny little thing. This is the most New Mexico looking woman I've ever seen. That is some serious, that's some New Mexico gear she's rocking. I'm from Utah, so I know. They're my neighbors to the southeast. Amy Mitchell, was that her name? I swear her in. Have her say your name. Come on. Readjust myself here. Oh, they're still talking. They're still talking about things. There's a lot to talk about.
Be the truth, the whole.
All right, swear her in now.
Do you swear firm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. All right. Speak into the microphone. Thank you.
Just 1 second to get my notes in order. Ma'am, will you state your full name for the record?
Mamie Elizabeth Mitchell.
Oh, Mamie.
And Ms. Mitchell, what do you do for a living?
I'm a substitute teacher.
How long have you been a substitute teacher?
I think around 2.5 weeks.
What?
So prior to being a substitute teacher, what did you do for a living?
I was a Hollywood script supervisor.
And can you explain to the jury what a script supervisor does?
Sometimes I pre-time the script.
We don't know what that means. We don't know what
I read the script, and in my mind, I give a producer and director an idea of how long their movie is. And based on that, they'll cut some scenes or add some scenes, build some sets or not build the sets. So it's a budgetary thing. While we're shooting a film, I provide the actors with lines if they need them. I keep the continuity in all areas.
And when you say you keep the continuity, can you explain to us what that means?
It means that your right hand is on your right hip and you're leaning on your left hand. And I'm going to make sure you do that every time we shoot.
That
Move the
scene.
camera.
Oh, okay.
That scene for that dialogue. So it's maintaining the continuity, which brings me to the thing that I really do is to ensure that a film cuts together seamlessly in the editing room, which gives the director choices.
As a part of being a script supervisor, do you keep very close track of all of the filming that's done on the set and the scenes that have been filmed?
Yes, I log every shot, lens, how long the shot is, if it's incomplete, if it's good, if it's not good, if it's fair, if it's the best one. And if there's an airplane on line 6, but then the airplane, it's okay in line 9, sound, everything that has to do with photography, I have in here, and that's translated to the editing room.
Okay. How long were you a script supervisor before you decided to become a substitute teacher?
About 42 years.
And in those years that you have worked in the film industry, how many movies and TV shows do you think you've worked on?
74.
But who's
And
counting?
Of those 74 shows, if you can guesstimate for us, how many of those had live guns and an armorer?
I think I've worked with an armorer about 24 times on 24 films. Sometimes,
Yeah, go ahead.
sometimes maybe a gun is used one time, and if the armor was brought in for that, I'm not really aware of that. But when guns are really a part of a script, about 24 times.
Okay. Safe to say you have a lot of experience with armor.
It's about 1 in 3. She deals with guns.
As the script supervisor, are you present for every single take that is filmed for every single scene?
Unless it's a second unit, and I have a second unit script supervisor, but for every first unit shot I'm there for every take.
On the set of Rust, were you there for every take?
Yes.
Okay. So I am going to ask you if you noticed any differences between Ms. Gutierrez and the other armorers that you worked with on the previous 24 occasions.
No objection.
Yeah, I'd probably be objecting on foundational grounds, for relevance grounds. It's not really important, and she hasn't established that she was any particularly skilled viewer of other armorers. Oh wait, I forgot we can fast forward through the pauses.
Ma'am, do you recall the question?
No, unfortunately not.
How did Ms. Gutierrez compare to the other previous 24 armorers that you worked with?
Nothing compares.
I found her to
you.
be inexperienced and did not present in the way that I'm used to seeing professional armorers, union armorers on a film set.
Well, it's because she wasn't union, was she?
Did you find her behavior on the film set to be professional?
I did not.
Did you ever take notice of where firearms were stored during filming or around the set?
I saw them on her cart.
And when you saw them on her cart, was she present?
Not all the time.
And was that unusual?
Everything about the cart was unusual.
When you say everything about the cart was unusual, can you explain to the jury what you mean?
In my experience, what I have experienced on film sets is that the armorers are very quiet, focused, and very organized. Everything is very organized, and they're very focused. I don't know if I said that. They're very focused and sort of methodical about everything. Their movements are very methodical.
I'm going to take you back to your concerns about the cart specifically. Can you explain what your concerns were with the state of the prop cart?
Well, I just never seen anything like it. It just reminded me, I mean, not that it reminded me, but the best way I can describe it is it was like that drawer in your kitchen where you just put stuff that doesn't really go anywhere else, the random things, and you're going to look for something, and just, it was messy.
All right. So again, I'm not getting good vibes from her, and she may be telling I don't know what that means when you're not getting good vibes. She looks like Hillary Clinton there. Weird. Maybe that's why I'm not getting good vibes. I don't know. But I don't know what it means when you're not getting good vibes, but they're probably doing a good job testifying. It's like, I don't want to believe her, but she's compelling already. But I mean, it's a little overboard to say everything she did was unprofessional. Everything she did was unusual. But that begs the question. If this was the case, why didn't you say something? Excuse me. Why didn't you say something to somebody? If it was this bad, if she was this horrible of a person, why didn't you raise any concerns to anybody?
To me, it looked different than what I was used to.
Did it seem organized?
No, it did not seem organized.
At any point in time, were you aware that there were what I'm going to refer to as accidental discharges that took place on set?
I was on the set at the cabin.
Hang on, you're a step ahead of me. Were you aware of the accidental discharges?
Yes.
Okay. Were you present for the accidental discharges?
Yes.
Okay. Can you go ahead and explain
You
to
mean
us
negligent
what happened
discharges?
with regard to those accidental discharges?
Well, I believe the first one, I was walking. Shall I describe the set? I was from here to where those people are back there away, walking back. We had camped out over here for a white shot. And so we kind of moved back. And as I was walking back, there was a gunshot went off. There was a gunshot, and it was frightening.
And do you know the circumstances of that accidental discharge?
Well, it was one of them that I know about now.
No, that's okay. In terms of when you heard the gunshot go off, why was it frightening? It's a Western. You know, we've heard that there's lots of guns and blanks, and
Because it doesn't happen.
what doesn't happen?
Yeah.
Guns do not just go off. On
How do you know
film
they
set.
just went off?
In your career, do you recall having that ever happen to you?
I do not.
And can you give the jury a little bit of background on, given that guns go off on movie sets because there's blank ammunition in the gun and guns are being shot, why would it have startled you? What's the procedure usually for gunshots?
Fire in the hole. Someone yells fire in the hole.
And what does that tell you when someone yells that? To tell us what you're doing.
Fingers in your ears, mouth open. You have to keep your mouth open.
Why do you keep your mouth open?
It helps your eardrums. Something
Oh.
about that. That's what we did. We're talking.
Oh,
that's-
come
we've done that
on. It's
forever.
it's
Keep your
not a
mouth open.
mortar round.
Okay. So
You protect your hearing.
with regard to the accidental discharges, did anyone call fire in the hole?
No.
And how many accidental discharges occurred while you were working on set?
2.
And do you recall if they were the same day?
They were the same day, same set.
Did they cause you to feel concerned?
I was concerned and I was confused.
What do you mean confused?
Shortly after I was hired by Roe Waters to do this movie.
No, I'm sorry. I think I understand, and I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
So let me let's let me take you to. I'm sorry. Let me back up.
Okay.
Ma'am, you indicated that you are on the set of Rust. You were present for the filming of every take of every scene. Is that right?
Yes.
And
Every
I
scene
am-
you take.
Wait a minute, let's get out of there. Hang on.
Getting blown up, mouth open
I
because
am
you're
going to show
dumb.
you what is marked as
Yeah,
states-
you know, that's, I like her righteous and pissed off. But again, like, it's a 45. I don't want my eardrums to burst. Like I said, it's not a grenade. It's not a mortar round. They're not carpet bombing the neighborhood, for God's sake. That's a little bit dumb. like, yeah, exactly. That's what I was just gonna say, Daily Quick Bites. Nobody puts their fingers in their ears anyway. There's these orange or yellow or green foam ear pads if you need such things, which you should always use ear protection. They're like 10 cents each. No, that is so dumb. If that's literally what she does, I can't help it, but no.
Exhibit 164. I'm going to ask to have it entered into evidence, admitted into evidence, and permission to publish.
See, Flux is the man. I never opened my mouth, even shooting a 50 cal.
So, Ms.
What the
Mitchell,
fuck,
You're
lol?
present every time they're rolling camera. Is that right? On Rust.
With the exception of sometimes, just a couple of times.
Hang on, let me ask you this. Do you recall meeting with me and me showing you a video that I wanted you to talk about? That was from October 17th. Do you recall that?
No.
Okay.
I don't. Could you refresh my memory, please?
I will refresh your memory. We're going to have to unplug because I'm going to have to refresh.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's all right.
Oh, yes, I
AV
do.
Chad in the
Okay.
house.
Do you recall? You know what I'm talking about now?
I do.
Okay. I think we can turn the monitors back on. Let's go ahead.
She does look a lot like
Were
Hillary.
you present for the filming of that take?
Yes, I was.
All right. I'm going to pull up States Exhibit 164 and publish.
Video.
Ma'am, do you recall the date that this particular take was filmed? I'm sorry. Hang on just a second. In order for you to refer to your notes, we need you to have a discussion with us.
Okay.
So, as you sit here today, do you recall the date that this was filmed?
I don't recall the date, but it's in my script.
Okay. Would it refresh your memory if you looked at your notes?
Yes.
You
Okay, so
got to
what I
go
want
through
you
the
to do, listen
formality.
carefully. I want you to look at your notes, and then I just want you to keep that information to yourself.
They get to approach you and see what you're looking at.
Oh, sure.
And put your
I'm
notes
gonna have
away.
this- When you look in your notes, just take note of the date and then wait for a follow-up question, okay?
Does counsel wish to approach to see what she's looking at?
I don't need to see her notes. Do you want to see her notes? Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to go through the formalities. There's you got to go through the formal process, the steps. You got to say the words. You got to say the magic words to be able to use your notes to refresh your memory and things like that. Hey, Kim68 watching from Australia. You are up late, depending on which side you're in. West Coast, you're doing good. East Coast, you are up late, but I appreciate it either way. Got quite a few Aussies here today. That's great. Always love our Aussies. And for those of you that missed it, we've determined that. Well, never mind. Yeah, there we go. We've determined that looking at the reflection off of the defense lawyer's head, we're able to determine how many lights are in the courtroom. Yesterday, we determined that, in fact,
There are 4 lights.
just saying. Even they thought it was funny. Even they thought it was funny.
Ms. Mitchell, go ahead and take your time and see if you can find that. I apologize.
Well, I don't want to get into why this is confusing, but I think a gremlin came in and took the page because I can't find it.
Hang on.
I'm gonna move it.
You're welcome, Kaiser.
Should be October 20th. It's October 20th. No?
Stop for a second. I told you to wait for a follow-up question.
Sorry.
Don't just speak, okay?
Okay.
Now,
Wait
Flux
with
is
us.
talking about the big 50 caliber machine guns mounted on the top of Humvees and
I
whatnot.
found it.
Are you sure?
I'm
But
sure.
Desert Eagles are pretty fun if you just want to just make a loud noise
Okay,
and
has
you
your
have a
memory been refreshed as
BFG
to the date?
on
Yes.
strap to
And
you.
let me just ask you, and you can close, take note of the date, okay? And is there something that's on the screen that helps you refer to your notes? No, go ahead and answer my question.
Yes.
What's on the screen that helps you refer, that helps you find that in your notes?
125 Charlie, the scene number.
Okay, so the 125C is the scene number. Is that what you said?
That's the slate number. The scene is 125. This is the slate number.
Okay. And so are you able to compare your notes to the information on that slate?
Yes,
And were you present for the filming of this take?
I was.
And what was the date that this was filmed on?
October 17th,
All right.
2021.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and publish it now.
Thank you.
You got to do the quick ones again. Hold on.
Unfortunately, that'll be 68. That'll be 100% of 68
I'm sorry?
disappointed men.
It's my understanding that part of your job is continuity. Is that right?
Correct.
So I'm going to ask you, can you identify this prop that we're looking at right here on Mr. Baldwin?
Yes.
What is that prop?
It's his over-the-shoulder holster.
That's what we used to call
And-
bras in high school, over the
Holster
shoulder
bandolier,
boulder
you said?
holders.
And what
'Cause
are
we were
these things
12.
that are right here?
Bullets.
And is that the way that the bandolier was loaded on October 17th?
Correct.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Ms. Mitchell, I'm going to take you to the date of October 21st, 2021. Were you working on set that day?
Yes.
We understand that there was some filming in the morning, and I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Do you recall taking a lunch break that day?
I did.
And well, let me back up. We've heard a lot of testimony that the camera crew walked off that day.
Yes.
And did you have a discussion with Mr. Souza and Ms. Hutchins about making the day?
I did.
Okay, without saying what they said, can you just tell us what you said to them in terms of that conversation?
I said, I turned to Halyna and I said, I shoot with one camera all my career until shooting with two cameras became the thing. I said, and then I looked at Joel and I said, if we're organized and you have a plan, we can make the day with one camera. And Halyna said, I shoot with the one camera too all the time.
Okay, but provided only for context. So we understand that there was some filming and then you went to lunch. I want you to start after lunch, where what's our understanding that there's something going on in the church preparing for a scene. If you can describe that to us, please.
Now look at me double fisting
Do
the
you
boot.
recall, let me ask you this, when
Whiskey and
when you
wine.
went into the church after lunch, were other people already there?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And
After lunch.
after lunch, we're only going to talk about after lunch.
Okay. Yes.
So when you were in the church after lunch, who do you recall being in the church?
Doran Curtin,
And Ms. Curtin, what was her role on set?
wardrobe.
Okay. Keep going, please.
She had blood. She was going to refresh blood.
Fake blood, I assume.
Fake blood.
Okay.
I switched places with her because she's real tall. And I said, could I stand in front of you? And we laughed and I went in front of her. Halyna, Serge, my director, Ross, Zach, Alec Baldwin in the pew with the gun,
Pew
Karen
pew.
Kuhen.
Who's Karen Kuhn?
She's a still photographer.
Thank you.
And she was on the side.
Okay, thank you.
Coming into the church, I think there was a special effects guy there, maybe the supervisor.
Okay. Let me ask you this. When you came into the church, did Mr. Baldwin already have his gun?
Oh yeah, yes,
Okay, so you didn't see how he got the gun or who handed him the gun?
I did not.
Okay, so you come into the church.
Dave Hall was there also.
Okay, Mr. Halls was there.
Sorry,
How long before the gun goes off are you in the church?
not very long at all.
Okay, so when you come into the church, you've indicated these people were there. What was happening
thank
in
you,
the moments
Tammy.
before the gun went off?
I switched places with Doran. Halyna was here and she's doing her thing with the light, looking at him. She's doing her lighting. And people are not static on a film set. So it's a dance. And she's doing this and looking at there was an onboard monitor and Joel is looking and they're there and she's doing her thing and looking at him and that. And I don't know
Was she doing
what
this?
everybody else was doing, but that's what they were doing. 'Cause
Okay.
I saw the camera. I had an idea of what shot it was. One of three. I hadn't seen the lens yet, so I wasn't sure what it was yet. And that's what they were doing.
And then what happened?
And then I took my phone out.
It's okay.
I
Don't,
took my phone
yeah.
out. Oh, the actor was practicing on his own.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yeah, he was practicing. And as I was doing, he was practicing. And then when I looked down to my phone I got the picture.
Damn
I checked
straight
his
paper
wardrobe,
football
make sure
upright.
everything matched.
And let me stop you. As a part of your continuity job, do you frequently take photos and videos on your phone?
I frequently take photos.
Okay.
Sometimes it flips. I take photos.
Okay. When you said sometimes it flips, is on occasion, do you end up with a live photo or a short video?
Yes.
Okay. So you're using your phone
Hey,
for
if
continuity.
you know, you know, man.
Constantly.
Okay. What happens then?
So I got my picture and I was going to check
Oh,
his
budding sensation. Sorry.
wardrobe.
There. Is that
and
better?
right when I was doing that explosion.
And
Oh, okay. All right. She's talking about the shooting now. Let's shut up.
when that happens,
What was that? She looks like my dogs when they see shit that's not there. She's just like, what was that? Or she's talking about the shooting here. And one interesting thing is it's very interesting that the prosecutor is doing something with her that she's not done with any other witnesses. She knows this witness can get out of control very easily. So literally she's instructing her on how to go about answering the questions. You talk to me before you look at your notes. After you look at your notes, don't give an answer. She's having to give her very, very explicit instructions on how to function in order to keep her from going just off. And so I think that's interesting. The prosecutor's just kind of wrangling her in. The prosecutor's trying her best to keep her reeled in and focused on the questions. So let's see how this
And
goes.
check his wardrobe. And right when I was doing that explosion.
and when that happens, what do?
I
What was that thing?
well,
That's weird.
my body had a black. It was a shock.
Use your words. Use your words. Come on. I don't like. See, I don't like. She's to me. She's a horribly unlikable person. But then again, she saw this shit, so she's credible just by where she was standing, and what she's not relaying information that I see is necessarily false. But she's just weird and unlikable. Interesting.
My body had a black. It was a shock.
Shock.
And then I heard a guttural moaning, and I looked around, and my director was crab crawling backwards. And then I turned around to look at Alec, and when I did, she was falling in my direction, and I ran.
And when you say she was falling, you mean
Halyna Hutchins was falling, and I ran
And
You ran where?
why did you run?
to get help
Okay.
And so
and away from danger.
Oh, there you go.
where did you go?
I ran out the door, down the steps.
Now you do one or I would say you don't do both of those. You don't do run away from danger and to get help. I think you do one or the other. Ran to get help. I think she was running away from danger.
To the left, towards one of the set. It was a setback truck, one of the trucks, and with my phone, and I started.
Flock of seagulls, baby. Greg's
And,
on one
Are
tonight.
you the person that called
And I
911 in this case?
ran.
I am.
And
Ran
when you
so
spoke to
far
911, how did you
away.
describe the incident that you were calling them for? Ms.
I
Mitchell,
believe I said we've had 2 people shot accidentally on a film set. We need help immediately.
and why did you use the word accidentally?
I did not want her to think there was an active shooter or a mass shooting. I needed and gather an army together. I wanted to come right away.
Okay.
Help.
You
right
needed
away.
a flamenco
And
dancer.
you thought that if law enforcement or medics thought that it was an active shooter, it may take them more time. Is that what you mean?
That's correct.
Okay. And ma'am, have you also filed a civil lawsuit against the production company and other folks in this case?
I have.
Are you
Oh, she
testifying
got a
today
lawsuit
because you
too.
think it's going to help your civil lawsuit?
No, it's not going to help.
Again, bullshit. They're not. We talked about this yesterday. The people that have filed civil lawsuits against the production company and everybody else, they are going to testify in a way that doesn't harm their civil case. They don't want their civil case to be chucked out. They want their dollars. They want their money. Come on, nobody's going to believe that. If you had to give testimony that would sink your civil trial, would you do it? Yeah, I don't believe that crap for a second. And so this is the 3rd witness, I believe, that has filed a lawsuit. So again, you have to look much more skeptically at her testimony now that you know she's got a lawsuit, and the outcome of her civil lawsuit could very well depend on what she says on the stand here. Nobody is going to give testimony that they think is going to ruin their chances of millions of dollars.
Not my civil lawsuit at all.
Are you testifying truthfully today?
I am.
Oh,
Thank
of
you, ma'am.
course,
I'll pass the witness.
because she said she was.
Well, good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi. I just have a few questions for you, not too much. First of all, I want to go back to your movies with the other armors. You said there was about 24 of them, give or take. Okay. On those, did you ever have a situation where there was a part-time armor, to your knowledge, somebody that did part-time armory and part-time something else?
I think there might have been one or two.
Were those day people, or was that part-time? What's that term you used earlier, day? When they just come in for a day and then they're gone?
A day player?
Day player. Were those day players, or was that a part-time armor?
Do you mean, was it a prop master who also? does
No.
story?
Yes, or yes, even a day player did both.
I don't remember. It's
Okay.
a day player.
Okay. Now, with regard to seeing the cart you mentioned, do you know whether when you saw the cart sometimes whether those firearms on there were real or whether they were replica firearms?
Not to my knowledge. I think everything was a real firearm.
Okay. Are you not aware whether there were any replica firearms, any fake type firearms on Rust?
No.
Okay. Now, also, you were aware that the armor would be called to scenes sometimes, right? She'd have to be on a scene when they were filming.
I don't know what you mean by on a scene.
Okay, in or around it, when firearms were being used, she had to be in or around that scene.
All armors have to be present when a firearm is being used.
Okay, and that wasn't my question. My question was, did you know on this movie set that the armor sometimes had to be in or near the scene when firearms were being used?
Yes.
Okay, so on those times, it would be impossible for the armor to be at her cart too, right?
Well, I've never heard of that before.
Well, kind of hard to be in two places at one time, isn't it? That's kind of the point. Now, did you know whether this cart was shared with props and armory men?
I think it was.
So when you saw the messy, you described it, your kitchen drawer where you put everything. Do you know if the props people were coming and putting their stuff on it too?
I think they were.
Okay. And so do you know who might have caused the things to be in different places? Was it props, or you don't know who was doing it? Do you?
I do.
Who?
They were all doing it.
Okay. So did you see him?
Yes.
You saw Sarah, Zachary putting stuff on it?
3 women at a cart. Sometimes.
Everybody's putting stuff on
Now,
the cart.
with regard to the discharge that you said you heard, you remember that?
Which one?
Well, you described when you were walking. I think you said you heard a sound, a shot. Is that right?
A misfire.
Yes. Okay.
2 of them.
Okay. Did you find out about that well after?
Was it a misfire or was it a
Did you
negligent
actually
discharge?
there?
I was there. It almost blew my ears out.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus, shut the. Oh, my Lord. Okay, 1, she's being unnecessarily combative. And 2, she's just being cranky. And 3, she's talking shit. Nearly blew my ears out. It was like, I don't know if any of you have seen, if any of you have seen this video. I believe it may have been like 60 minutes or 48 hours. I think it was 60 minutes where some liberal reporter dude was firing an AK-47 or some type of assault weapon, and he was like, "This is my heart is racing. I thought my ears were gonna burst. I've never been so terrified in my life as firing this weapon." Meanwhile, in the background, there's like a 4-year-old going like firing the same gun. Oh yes, the AR-15. That's right. Sorry, my mind just totally went blank. Yeah, it was an AR-15. Yeah, so you all know what I'm talking about. The video of the guy he was traumatized and he was going to suffer from PTSD for the rest of his life for shooting a few rounds with this AR-15. This terrible experience. There's like a 4-year-old just pumping around through it in the background. Oh Lord. I was there, it nearly blew my eardrums out. Intercourse off.
Or were you actually there?
I was there. It almost blew my ears out.
Okay. Now, do you know whether any of that was special effects?
It was not special effects.
Did you report that to anybody?
Everyone, I didn't have to report it.
That
Everybody
wasn't a
knew it.
question.
Okay. Everybody in production?
I don't know about production. Everyone on the set heard it.
Okay. Do you know if Dave Halls heard it?
Dave Halls was there.
Okay. So he would have known, so you wouldn't have had to tell him, right?
Everyone who was at that set, on that set, and there were a lot of people, heard the gun go off accidentally, twice.
Okay. Different topic. In the script, do
Lady.
you remember whether it required a draw in the scene on October 21st, 2021, after lunch? Did that scene require a draw from the holster for the actor, for Mr. Baldwin to draw from his holster?
It did.
Okay. Do you remember if that required him to point the weapon?
That's not the shot that we discussed before lunch.
Okay. So was that in the script or not?
No.
Oh yeah, daily quick bites. That was funny.
I have nothing figured out.
All right, that was. Oh, she's like smiling, like, oh, I just did a good job. You're a cranky old coot. This is weird. Why would this is weird because we're coming to the end of the prosecution's case. And you want to put your strongest witnesses on last. We've had, well, I mean, Sarah Zachary was not a strong witness, but you know, Joel, I think Joel Souza, the director that took the bullet in the arm, I think he's been the best witness so far. Other than he's been the best witness for the prosecution, other than Hannah Gutierrez. Hannah has far and away been the best witness for the prosecution because of her non-lawyer having confessions. But Joel was strong. This is not the strong way to end your case. Strange that they would put her on, because this makes you forget everything good that happened from Joel.
I don't have any additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you. You're excused.
She's like smiling, thinks she did a good job. And all right, that's the end of Friday. And now we're starting up here on today. Oh wow, this is pretty good. We're only like 2 minutes behind. Sweet. Let's bring up today. We don't do we do? Oh, we have one thing to read here. Member for 2 months. Thank you so much. Megan Runzer, thank you so much for being a member for 2 months. Leaning guilty on the death of Halyna Hutchins, but haven't heard anything to convince me of evidence of tampering. Don't think jail time is needed. Probation, sure. Interesting. Interesting take. All right. All right, the judge is now on the bench. Let's bring this up. We are so close. We'll catch up real quick here. And let's see, we're like almost an hour into it. Cool. No, we've only got audio in one ear. Great. Who is this? I've got a thing for women with long gray hair.
Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, have a seat, talk into the microphone. Thank you.
Ma'am, state your full name for the record.
Karen Ann Kuhen,
And how do you spell your last name?
Kuehen.
How are you currently employed?
I am a stills photographer on
What? How is that spelled? Kuhen? Sorry, I missed that.
Ann Kuhen,
And how do you spell your last name?
Kuehen.
How are you
Kuehen.
currently employed?
I am a stills photographer on film sets and sometimes a wrangler.
What does a stills photographer do on film sets?
Still photographs.
Document scenes, behind the scenes, and do gallery work and specials for billboards, posters, whatever the production needs.
Okay. Were you employed as the stills photographer on the set of Rust?
Yes.
And if you recall, can you estimate for us approximately how many photographs you took during the time that you were working on Rust? Do you have any idea?
Maybe 9,000.
Okay.
About 2,000 a day at the most, probably.
Wow.
Okay. I am going to, well, before you came in today, did you have an opportunity to review one of the photographs that you took?
I did.
Okay. I am going to ask the court to admit States Exhibit 165. I believe there's no objection.
No objection. All right, thank you. 165 is admitted to make published.
Yes.
15th.
Can you tell us the date that this photo was taken?
I believe it was on the 15th.
Of what month?
We're 2 minutes behind.
October.
And would that have been 2021?
Yes.
And do you recognize this person here?
Yes, it's Hannah.
Okay. And who's this person here?
Alec.
And why were you taking this photo?
I just shoot a lot, and I think the behind the scenes is really interesting, what's going on. So they're having a conversation about what's about to happen.
It's like they're searching for the missing girl.
Okay.
So-
Do you know what this is in Ms. Gutierrez's hand?
It looks like the gun belt. I'm guessing for Alec
Okay.
or a bandolier, one of those.
Okay.
I see a gun in it.
All right. I'm going to zoom in on this photo.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yes.
When you look at, well, tell us what's in that gun belt.
Oh, they're looking at the gun
Ammunition?
belt, not the legs.
And
Sorry.
a gun.
I was like,
And
why?
do you notice anything about the center primers of the ammunition that's in that belt?
One is silver and quite different from the other 3, 4.
All right. And that was October 15th, you said, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'll pass the witness.
Cross-exam.
Okay.
Can I leave this here? You can use it, you can set things on it if you want. Thank you.
So that
Is it true that you were budgeted for 5 days of work for the entire show?
Yes.
And were you ever tasked with taking any pictures of guns pointing into the camera?
all right. That's a severe look. That's a
Let me
much
take
more
a picture of
severe
guns
look
pointing
than
into
she's
the
had
camera.
previously.
One of the junior producers, Ryan Smith, emphasized that I should get as many shots of guns pointed into the camera as possible.
Okay, so then you were told to do this on many occasions?
Maybe twice.
When those photos are taken of guns pointing into the camera, are they actually pointed at you, directly at you then?
When it's the gallery shoot, yes. And those guns have to be checked by the armor before, which I trusted was happening because she was nearby.
When filming in New Mexico, did it appear to you that Alec Baldwin was the boss?
Yes.
Did you ever see anybody tell Alec Baldwin no?
No.
And in terms of the structure, did it appear that other producers were below him?
Yes.
Did you see other producers on the set frequently?
Yes.
How frequently did you see other producers on set?
Pretty much every day I was there.
Were the other producers sometimes even in some of the photos that you were taking?
Yes.
You had to Photoshop them out?
No, I don't do Photoshop.
Okay. What about Gabrielle Pickle? Did it appear to you like, well, first, did you have interactions with Gabrielle Pickle?
Very little, just the initial deal.
Did it appear to you in your perception that the budget was a major concern to Gabrielle Pickle?
That's her job. She's the line producer, I believe. And so she has to come in according to whatever the budget is.
Okay. Do you recall believing that she was?
Is it just
trying to
me or is the
cheat
court
everybody
really
out?
quiet today? Am I like
On the lower tier, lower
ridiculously
budget shows,
louder than the
that's what
court?
they all
Let me
do.
know.
And that's what you observed from Gabrielle Pickle on the show?
I didn't get involved with her about everybody else's deal, just my deal. And I just made a deal with her and that was it.
Okay, but I'm trying to get your perception of her and whether, in fact, I'm not sure if you're quite answering. Did you believe that she was cheap?
I don't have an opinion.
Do you remember testifying or making statements about your opinion of her previously where you said she was cheap?
Well, that was the nature of the show. It was a low budget tier.
Okay, and I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about your opinion about Gabrielle Pickle and whether you once believed she was cheap.
I don't recall if I said that, then I said that.
Would it refresh your memory to look at a transcript of your pretrial interview in this case?
If I said it, then
Okay.
I said it. I mean, that was the overall feeling with everybody. Everybody's always trying to get more money. That's just the way it goes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Thank you. Were you actually in the church at the time of the shooting incident in this case?
I was.
And do
Ooh.
you recall ever seeing Halyna Gutierrez in the church at that time?
I do not. I saw her outside.
Would you agree with me that after lunch, right before the shooting, everybody on set was rushing to get the set all up and going?
I would agree with that.
I don't believe I have any other questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Ms. Kuhen, I want to ask you a couple questions about taking photos of guns pointed at the camera. You indicated that you,
Thanks for the
thought that Ms. Gutierrez had
clarification,
checked the gun.
Sebastian.
I believed so.
let me ask you, did Ms. Gutierrez check the gun in your presence?
Not that I recall.
And how many movie sets do you think you've worked on that had armorers?
Over a dozen.
In your experience, does the armorer generally check the gun in the actor's presence or the assistant director's presence?
Yes.
Did that happen in this case?
I didn't see that. I also came into the church a little bit later.
I'm not talking about inside the church. I'm talking about with you when you were taking those photos.
Right. I just don't recall. I wasn't paying attention to that. I was paying attention to just documenting.
Okay.
So,
Well, would you recall if Ms. Gutierrez showed you the dummy rounds and shook them for you when she put them in the gun?
I would recall that, but I don't.
Okay. So is it your testimony that that did not happen?
I just want to know who that girl in the
I don't
back
know.
is there.
I don't know if she checked them. It's not my job.
She didn't check them in front of you?
No.
Okay, understood. Was Ms. Gutierrez present for those close-up shots of guns pointed at the camera?
She was nearby. We were in a very small space outside of a barn for a gallery shoot, and I asked her to check everything, and I trusted that she did that. And I was inside and working with the talent.
You know it, Big Daddy.
On
You
those
know it.
days. And that space is probably 20 by 30, very small. You can't have a lot of people in there.
Okay. You were asked some questions about Ms. Pickle and the budget.
Mhm.
Do you generally work on movies in the state of New Mexico?
Yes,
You live in New Mexico, right?
yes.
And are a lot of films that are made in New Mexico low budget movies?
It's a mix. It's a mix.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge about New Mexico tax incentives? And
Why would she?
how that happens with regard to different tiers of movies?
Not enough to talk about, but I know
Okay.
they get a discount if they hire our local crew, which we appreciate.
Okay, of course, understood. On October 21st, 2021, when you were inside the church, and I'm talking about shortly before the incident where Ms. Hutchins was shot, were you paying close attention to Ms. Gutierrez and what she was doing?
No, I was paying attention to Alec because he was handling a gun. As I walked in the church, I thought, there's some shots happening, photographs. So I kind of went right in to get some photos of him. And then he pointed at me to get out of the way.
Oh God!
and
I
out
just
of his
pointed the
personal
gun.
space.
Jesus.
Okay.
Point. What a prick. Seriously. You just pointed at her to get out of the way. You out of the way.
Out of his personal space.
Get out of my personal
Okay.
space. She's lucky to be alive. We're all cut up now. We're alive. We are at real speed and can't do anything about it.
All right, thank you. You're excused.
Thank you very much.
Next witness.
State calls Marissa Poppel.
This is a weird way to wrap up your case. This is just weird. Put your strong witnesses up. The DCV tying with a $5 super chat says libtard fires AR-15. It was so scary. I had flashbacks to Nam. Every sensible person. You're 20. Thank you. And Mary Jane, really not Sarah. Oh my God, I hate being sober. Give me some soju, Jeff.
Do you
We got it
swear
right here with
affirm
the
under
mint
penalty
chocolate.
of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Oops, sorry.
All right, thank you. Have a seat talking to the microphone.
Sorry, I didn't realize we were still presenting on the screen. Well, let's leave it on for now that I've figured out what's going on. Ms. Poppel, good morning. How are
Didn't
you?
we already see her? She's like Philip
Thank
Seymour
you
Hoffman.
for,
We've already seen.
returning to answer some additional questions.
Oh, it is her. Okay. See, I was saying, I was like, oh my God, it's like two people that look like Philip Seymour Hoffman. And they called her back. That's right. I remember they said they were going to call her back. All right. Sorry about that.
For now that I've figured out what's going on. Ms. Poppel, good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thank you for returning to answer some additional questions. I would like to show you a series of photographs, and I believe there is no objection to these photos. They are exhibits.
All right.
And the photos are going to be 166 through 173.
All right. There's no objection to their admission.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. You're admitted. You may publish.
Okay. Ms. Poppel, do you see that photograph there that's on your screen? And I'm showing you State's Exhibit 166.
Yes, I do.
What is that a photo of?
This is a photo of dummy rounds that were removed from a box that was located in the prop truck, and then they were laid out on brown paper and rephotographed.
And I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 48A. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that, and how does it relate to the photo that we just looked at?
These are those same rounds while they were still in foam insert.
And are these the rounds that came out of the box that had the blue Sharpie writing on the label?
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been marked
She
as
is the
Exhibit
production
167.
unit
Can you tell us
coordinator,
what we're
if I
looking at here?
remember correctly.
Yes, this is a box of live rounds that were collected from PDQ.
And is one of them dissimilar than the others?
Yes, in the bottom corner, one of them has a silver primer.
Talk about this one over here.
Yes.
Where?
Was that the only live round with a silver primer that you found at PDQ?
No.
I'm gonna have relates to the previous photo, this one here, 167. What's 168?
These are those same rounds removed from the box and laid out.
Do you know which of these has the silver primer?
It would be one of the rounds that's by itself.
DC, if you're done
One of these
presenting,
over
like
here.
what, a
Yes.
baboon in
Okay.
heat? I
And
must
in
have, I was
terms
thinking kind of something along the same lines.
The shape of the
Damn it.
projectile is the shape of the projectile similar to the live rounds that were found on the set of Rust?
No.
Is the head stamp of the round, and in fact, let's move to State's Exhibit 169. Is that a close-up of that live round?
Yes.
Is the head stamp of this live round the same as the head stamp of the live rounds from the set of Rust?
No.
No, Mamasaurus Rex, they're saying exactly
State's
the
Exhibit
opposite.
170. What are we
They're
looking
saying
at here?
the live rounds they
These
found at
were
PDQ
additional
are
rounds
different
that
than the
were
ones that were on
located at
set.
PDQ that had silver and color primers.
And are the head stamps the same as the live rounds found on the set of Rust?
No.
State's Exhibit 171. What's this?
This is a top view of those same live rounds located at PDQ with the silver primer.
Is the projectile shape the same as the live rounds that were found on the set of Rust?
No.
The live rounds with silver primers that came from PDQ, how many did you find?
There were, I'm sorry, say that one more time.
How many live rounds at PDQ with silver primers did you discover and photograph?
10.
10 out of all of them.
Yes.
Okay. And have we looked at all of them this morning?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 172. What is this?
This is the outside
I
of
think
a
Seth is going to
ammunition
be the
box
next
that was
witness, so we
located
should
in
find out.
Lieutenant Benavidez's vehicle.
And based on your experience in this case, do you know what kind of ammunition that box contained?
This contained blank rounds.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 173. What is this?
This is the outside of an ammunition box that was located on top of the cart.
And what kind of ammunition was inside this box?
There were blanks inside this box.
I'm going to show you what is previously entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 4. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
The box that we just looked at, can you tell us where it is on the cart?
Yes.
See what we were. Oh, I'm sorry. This is live. I keep forgetting. We'll have to catch up again real quick. Remember, like, oh, you got to put your fingers in your ears and go so you don't blow your eardrums out, lady. This right here, this you see the orange thing in the middle of the top shelf here. Those are ear protectors. You just squeeze them, you stick them in your ear, and they expand, and then they block it. These are just typical earplugs. You don't need to put your fingers in your ears because you got a bottle of ear protectors
It's off
right there.
to the side.
Is it this one right here?
Yes, where your cursor is.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Oh, look, earplugs.
I'll pass the witness.
All right.
Cross-exam.
Well, he's getting ready. Mary Jane, not really Sarah, member for 1 month. Oh, we already read that one. Oh my God, I hate being sober. Me too, apparently. DCV Titan presenting, like what, a baboon in heat, as I said, thought about that myself. Duncan Ida with the $5. I just have a feeling Alec Baldwin is going to be more or less skate through, and I really want that Richard head to see us sell. Oh, I think, I mean, he is a textbook example of negligent manslaughter. I think we're going to see that.
Ms. Poppel, so
But I don't think he's going to
testified
serve any
earlier you all
time.
found 10 live rounds, and that was in a search that occurred approximately 1 month after the shooting. Is that right?
Yes.
So again, you have no idea what happened in the month in which went by that you all weren't there to search, right?
Correct.
Now, State's Exhibit 4, you testified at the end, you looked at that exhibit and told the jury where that box was on the card. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Now, it's also been your prior testimony, is it not, that you put that box back on the cart from Benavides' vehicle? Is that right?
No.
Okay. Was that box there before?
Yes.
Okay. So that wasn't one of the 2 boxes that were removed from Benavides' vehicle and put back on?
Correct. Those were placed in a brown paper bag and secured in the scene.
Okay. Your Honor, if I may approach to show some exhibit.
All right, well, he's approaching. I think I've come around, says Duncan, Idaho.
This exhibit Q,
We have to treat
offense Q, and ask if you recognize
Hannah
it.
Gutierrez as a component, as a competent
Yes, I
adult.
recognize it.
No, just as an adult. She's not competent.
Did you take
I
that
treat her as an
photograph?
adult.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd move defendant's Q into evidence.
Even if she is clearly a tarded airhead and never should have been hired as an armorer. I just hope Alec Baldwin and others are at least
Then I will
equally
move that,
accountable.
Your Honor, defendants R through D as well.
R through what?
D as in David. It goes all the way through R through Z, and then A, B, B, C, C, and D, D.
All right, so Q through Z, and then A, A, B, B, C, C, D, D.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, they're admitted, you may publish.
John Gordon with a $2 super chat. Witness looks like a female Frankie McDonald. Google was my friend. Okay, I'll just leave that one right there. Thank you very much. What they're testifying to, what she's testifying to, is that the rounds were not from Seth Kenny. They were from somewhere else. Impliedly, they were from Hannah Gutierrez. That's all this witness is saying.
Okay, so this is touchscreen.
Can we just zoom in on the lovely lady in the burgundy back there?
Okay, ma'am. First, I've got defendant's Q, and I want to show you that picture. Oh, yeah. Ms. Poppel, defendant's Q, can you tell the jury what that photograph is?
This was a photo of dummy ammunition that was located at PDQ.
Now, when you say it was dummy ammunition, did you send these to the FBI lab?
No, we did not.
And did you actually seize those and take them to the sheriff's office?
No.
So you took a picture and you concluded they were dummies without getting lab confirmation. Is that right?
Yes.
I can conclude Hannah's a dummy without FBI testing involved.
S. And what is that picture?
Oh, that's funny. The old
believe
bike
this was
video is cool.
I'm sorry.
It was fatter
I
than
believe
fuck.
this was a box of, you know what? I can't determine it out of context. I apologize.
Okay. But this was
Thank you for
something
being
you
honest.
took at PDQ props.
I couldn't determine it out of context. I apologize.
Again, thank you for being
I have
honest.
over 2,000 photographs,
Sure.
mostly of ammunition. So
Defendant's T. Can you tell the jury what that is?
this was the outside of the box where live rounds were located at PDQ.
Oh, instead of 1883, huh? So we know. I guess that means that PDQ supplied ammo to 1883.
Could you turn the photo?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be easier.
Thank you. This was boxes of ammunition that were located at PDQ.
Sometimes it is, though, Island. Sometimes.
Hey, defendants.
Just not at the defendant table.
Tell the jury what that photo is.
This was another photograph taken at PDQ.
Good God. And they're complaining about the cart being a mess?
Was in when you got there for the search?
Yes.
What are those items in the back? They're yellow and green. You see at the very top right. What are those things?
I'm not sure. Some form of tool.
Did you inspect that tool at all to find out what it was?
I believe that Sergeant Zook assisted with that aspect.
Are those the inertia pullers?
Were there any?
What the hell are those? I don't know.
Were
Talking
there
on my
any
ass.
rounds in this picture?
If you could move it up, just because my portion has lettering underneath it.
Sure. Yeah.
There were rounds on the table. Yes.
Rounds.
So there is and just to describe, there's rounds laying.
Yeah, that's what it
in a
looks like.
mix of all kinds of stuff. I don't even know what to call it. Is that clutter? Would that be a good
Clutter.
word?
There were a large amount of items on the table.
That's just called
What is
shit.
the green?
Just a bunch of shit on the
cans?
table.
What are those?
I don't recall what the green cans were.
Okay. And what is that brown canister in the middle, or whatever that is? A box?
Kleenex box. Shotgun
I'm
box?
not sure what you're referring to.
Okay, I should point this thing right here.
Shotgun
The
shell?
black box that's there, I don't recall what it was.
Did you all pick up these and look under them? Pick up the clutter and look under it?
Yes, items were moved.
Okay. So if you found anything,
Look at the
under it,
Black
can you tell
Horse
us what
Cavalry
that
being
was?
all smart and shit.
Nothing located underneath it was collected by us.
Okay. What are those manuals in the top right? Did you look at those?
I don't recall what those manuals were.
Did you determine whether there was any equipment or other tools within the PDQ props?
If there were tools?
Equipment, first of all, like machines?
I don't recall there being machines. I mean, there were some miscellaneous tools.
Was Hannah a miscellaneous
Do you know what
tool?
a reloading machine is?
I know what it is, yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you Defendant's U. Again, I'm going to show you those items I was talking about, the yellow and green. And seeing those closer, does that refresh your memory as to whether you might have seen what those were?
It does not. I did not inspect those items personally.
Okay. Now, I'm going to show you again Defendant's W. Do you remember seeing on any of these boxes that you looked through or inspected the JS initials?
Yes, multiple boxes had JS initials.
I'm going to show you.
No, this isn't Hannah.
Defendant's
This is
D.
Seth Kenny at PDQ. It's his
Mamie.
desk.
What is this picture that we're looking at?
I don't recall exactly where this picture originated from.
I'm going to show you Defendant's X. Can you tell the jury what this picture is?
These are more ammo boxes that were located at PDQ.
Now, did you find any written inventory system in the paperwork that you might have inspected at this search?
I did not myself, no.
Did you determine whether there was any computerized inventory system that kind of cataloged where things were?
That I do not know.
I'll show you defendants.
But he's got a spreadsheet that says pile of shit on table.
Better turn it right side up. Defendants V, can you tell the jury what that is?
These were more ammunition boxes located at PDQ.
Were you able to ascertain any type of system, just staring at everything as to how these were arranged?
They seem to be arranged by ammo type.
And were they all kind of put in together? Did you ever see bags of rounds put in by boxes?
I don't recall.
I'm gonna show you
No,
defendants
Tammy,
A.
she's gonna be wearing prison orange and no
Does that
makeup
appear
real
to
soon.
be Bags of rounds by boxes.
Yes.
Okay. So again, that was how it was when you took this picture at the search, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I have, let me see, Judge, just 1 second. Okay, Your Honor, I have no more questions.
Redirect.
DCV Titan with $2 says armor for dummies. That's the book. That's the manual on there.
Ms. Poppel, when you were at PDQ, you were there pursuant to a search warrant. Is that right?
Yes.
And did the search warrant let you take from that property anything you wanted to?
No, it had restrictions.
What were the restrictions of the warrant?
We were looking specifically for live ammunition in a .45 caliber.
Okay. 45 caliber live ammunition.
Yes.
Okay. Did you take all of the 45 caliber live ammunition from PDQ into evidence?
Yes.
Of all of the 45 caliber live ammunition that you took from PDQ, was any of it similar to the live rounds found on the set of Rust?
No.
I'm going to show you what was marked as Defendant's Exhibit Z. Were all of those boxes taken into evidence?
No,
Why not?
because they did not contain .45 caliber live rounds.
Looks like the entire defense is color coordinated. They're all rocking the cream color or your beige overcoat, your blazers with a white shirt. She's doing the same. The defense lady, she's doing the same. It's like all the ladies on the defense side coordinated. That's kind of weird.
Yes.
Bags of I'm a little reluctant to call them ammunition, but what appears to be at a minimum brass casings. Were those taken into
Top.
evidence?
No,
Why not?
because they were not
Sandstone.
.45 caliber live ammunition.
Sage, it's sagebrush. It's sagebrush green.
As you look at that photo, do you know whether they were live ammunition at all?
No, I don't believe they were.
I don't have anything further. Thank you.
All right.
Your excuse, thank you.
Okie dokie. She's gone.
Can I have this? Keep me moving.
And DCV Titan with another $2 super chat. Oh God, have they synced as well? Oh no, not even gonna entertain that one. Sorry. Yeah. Right. They'll have their little discussion and then they'll call their next witness here. We are 1 hour and 20 minutes into this. We currently have 574 people here. My God, that's a lot of people, but only 315 of you have hit that like button. My God, that's a low number. Nearly half of you haven't done your job. So please get down there and smash that like button. Please, please, please. Let's get us up to 600 likes. We need to be there. Get us up to 600 likes as soon as possible. It takes zero time. It's easy. It's free. It costs you nothing, but it's like a microsecond of labor. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do me the favor. Subscribe. Please, please, please. I would be honored to have your subscription. And then take our like and subscribe poll. Do you think Hannah should be found guilty or not guilty right now, based on what you've seen? 57% say guilty and 43% say not guilty so far. That is not Seth Kenny. That is an unfortunate scarf. Hey, where'd the girl go? Where'd Burgundy girl go? Get back here.
Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. All right. Have a seat talking to the microphone.
Oh, she's got purple ends.
Good morning.
Good morning. Ms. Smith, go ahead and state your full name for the record.
Rebecca Smith.
Oh.
And Ms. Smith, in
it's all in the spelling.
October of 2021.
It's all in the
how were you
spelling.
employed?
I was employed as Key Craft Services.
How do we think she
Is that
spells
on the set of
Rebecca?
rest?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you explain to the jury what Key Craft Services does?
Key Craft Services is basically a set mom.
Set
I
mom.
show up and make sure that coffee is ready for everybody, that everybody has snacks and hydration.
Is she
If
just an
they run out of
REBECCA
sunscreen,
or
if
does
they
she have
run
an
out of
H?
chapstick, they
Let's just
can-
chapstick.
And
She makes everybody's sack lunch.
what hotel were you staying at when you were working on the set of Rest?
The Inn at Santa Fe.
And was Ms. Gutierrez also staying there?
Yes, ma'am.
During the time that the two of you were both working on the set of Rust, did you get to know her?
Know her? No. I had a chance to sit with her once or twice, but not really get to know her.
Okay. Would you say she was more of an acquaintance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And
She's a friend.
Ms. Smith, were you present at the hotel the evening of October 21st, 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And at some point that evening, did you go to Ms. Gutierrez's hotel room?
Yes.
And why did you do that?
Court and I forget what his name was, but the set steward were in her
steward of
hotel
Gondor.
room and needed to go to the store to get something and did not want to leave her alone. So they called me and asked me to come up to her room.
Okay. And did you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you stay with Ms. Gutierrez for a little while?
Yes, ma'am.
And then at some point, did you leave?
Yes.
Did you leave with
Did
Denethor,
anything
steward of
unusual
Rust?
happen when you left Ms. Gutierrez's room?
Yes. She asked me if I could hold on to something for her. I said yes. She put it in my hand.
Oh, no.
And I walked out as there was a knock on the door.
And after you left the room, did you look to see what she had placed in your hand?
Yes.
And can you describe, without making any assumptions about what it was, can you just describe what you saw in your hand?
Yes.
Peruvian marching
It
powder.
was
The Bolivian dancing
clear
dust.
Ziploc baggie with a green small Ziploc baggie inside. And there was powder inside the green baggie.
What color was the powder?
White.
Could you see that through the green baggie? Could you
I
really?
want you to compare this to like a sugar packet that you
It
would.
was definitely not sugar.
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Let me get my
look like sugar.
let me get my question out.
Okay.
I want to have a discussion about how much was in the green
Okay.
part. And I want you to compare it to a sugar packet that you would open and put in coffee or tea.
Okay.
How many of those do you think
Coffee
it
and
was?
tea and
Maybe
Java
4 or
and
5.
me. A
Okay.
cup.
And Ms. Smith, how old are you?
I'm 51.
And when you were a younger person, did you have an opportunity to use the drug
Oh, no.
cocaine?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a recovering addict.
Are you familiar with what
Yikes.
cocaine looks like?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with the way that cocaine is packaged?
Yes, ma'am.
Based on that experience, what did you believe to be in the bag?
I believed it to be cocaine.
And what did you do?
She
with
don't
it?
lie.
I threw it in the hallway trash can.
She don't
before
lie.
Even going downstairs. To my room.
Cocaine.
And why did you throw it in the hallway trash can?
Because, like I said, I am a recovering addict. I can't, first and foremost, have it in my possession. And second, I was really very offended, and I didn't want anything to do with the situation anymore.
Okay. After
You got the cocaína from
October
Gutierrez.
21st passes, did you receive any text message communications from Ms. Gutierrez?
Oh, she's the one that got the "Do you
Yes.
still have my stuff"
And-
text messages. Okay.
And generally speaking, what was the theme of those messages?
I want my stuff back.
Other than the bag containing the green bag containing the white powder, other than that item, did you have anything else that belonged to Ms. Gutierrez?
No, ma'am.
Did you bring this information to the attention of law enforcement?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Like I said, I didn't want to be involved in the situation.
She's not a
if I
bummer,
didn't have to
man.
be.
Okay. And how long after the incident do you think it was before someone reached out to you to talk to you about this?
I believe it was about September of 2023 when you contacted me about it.
And I personally called you?
Yes, ma'am. Texted, I believe it was.
Okay. And did you tell me on that day what you have testified to today?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Thank you, Honor. Ms. Smith, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, ma'am, that night when you went to Miss Gutierrez Reed hotel room, you were called over and Miss Gutierrez Reed was distraught, correct?
Yes.
Now, you were called over and there were, you could see she was visibly
Bitch
distraught. Could you-
snitch.
Yes.
And didn't you say that you would stay with her that night and make sure she was okay?
I said I would stay with her for a little bit, yes, until court and the steward came back.
Okay. And at the time you left, had they gotten back?
No.
So before they got back, despite your word earlier, you left.
Yes.
Did Miss Gutierrez Reed also go to your room that night?
No.
Hubba.
Now, your testimony is that the last time you used
She's back. Hey.
cocaine was approximately 20 years old. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So that would have been, I think, 31 years ago.
Yes.
And since then, thankfully, you've been clean. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So you have not seen that substance in 31 years. That's fair to say?
Oh, come on. You're not
That's
going
not
to go
fair.
there, are you?
Okay.
I have seen it, just not used it.
Okay. Now,
You're not going to
you
go
stated
there.
on direct
You wouldn't know what
examination
cocaine looked like, would
that you
you?
believed it to be cocaine.
Yes.
And do you recall stating at one point that you said it could be cocaine or meth?
I don't recall
Pick or
saying
choose.
that,
Either
no.
one of them's bad.
Okay, do you recall at your pretrial interview being asked the question, what was in those baggies? Inside the snack baggie was the green baggie. Inside the green baggie was a white powdery substance, which I knew to be cocaine, or I mean, it could have been meth or something too.
It could have,
Okay.
but I don't believe that it was, nor did I state that I believed it was. I just said that it could be.
And that was my question. I'm just asking if you said it could have been meth too.
Does it matter?
So in reality, it could have been a number of other white powders.
What?
Would you agree with that?
Laundry
Sure.
detergent?
Do you know what creatine looks like?
Oh, for
No.
God's sake.
Protein powder?
A dime
No,
bag of protein
because I work
powder?
for
Really?
processes.
Okay. And we could go through a whole list of items, but there's a lot of white powder sugar, right?
They don't come in
Mhm.
fucking dime bags, dude.
Yes.
Okay. So the
A
reality
dime
is
bag of laundry
you
detergent?
have a belief, but you don't know for
A
certain.
dime
what
bag
was
of
in that bag.
flour?
Correct.
Now that was never tested,
No,
and that was never provided to law enforcement.
no.
How long did you hold that baggie before you threw it in the trash?
I didn't make it all the way down the hallway.
So how many feet do you think that was that you walked?
I don't even know how many feet the hallway is long. So,
Can you,
I mean,
can you look at the courtroom and
The-
estimate?
There was a
Just
green, there was
telling
the
us?
small green bag
Um,
inside the sandwich bag.
possibly to the distance of the gentleman in the blue suit.
Okay, is he seated
Right
at
here,
council table?
yes.
So would you agree with me that's about 20, 25 feet?
Sure.
Okay. So you walked 20, 25 feet, and were you looking at that bag the whole time, or were you having it down by your side?
At first, it was down by my side, and then I, of course, raised my hand to look.
Okay, now weren't you walking past some police officers too?
Men in uniform, not sure whether they were police officers.
Well, what do the uniforms look like?
They could have been armed security. I did not see an actual badge, so I could not say for sure that they were police. They were men in uniform in either security.
Okay, now I'm sorry to pause this, but chat, hold the fuck on a minute. Chat, come on, chat. Look, it's just chat. It's just you and me. Come on. And those of you in chat know who I'm talking to. What do you think is the more likelihood? Hannah Gutierrez bumping around set with a dime bag of Coke, or she's got a secret stash of protein powder on her? Come on, chat. Come the fuck on. What do you think is more likely? I'm just gonna leave it there. Come on. You're like, well, that'd be about the right size for a creatine bag. Come on. What do you think is more likely? Come on.
Or police.
Well, do you
Come
recall,
on.
being asked the question, why didn't you just hand it back to her? And you said, because I didn't want to do anything in front of the police. On page 19 of your interview?
Yes.
So at that time at your interview, you indicated they were police.
I indicated that I believed that they were police. Yes.
No, you didn't say believe. You said, because I didn't want to do anything in front of the police. So were they police or not?
I don't know.
So you walk down 25 feet, you look up at it, and then you throw it in the trash. Is that right?
I looked at it and then
Called for
waited for the trash can, of course. I didn't throw it on the floor or anything. So I did have to wait for the trash can to be there.
Sure. So you, in fairness, you probably had 5 seconds.
Dude,
to
you're
look at this bag.
sounding
Is that
dumb
about
as
right?
fuck.
Yes.
Let it go.
So you had a 5-second glance through a white baggie and a green baggie, and you then based your conclusion on that. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Dude, you're
Now, you
not
also said
no, you're not getting the win you
You
think
thought
you
this was
are.
about 4 to 5 sugar packets.
Correct.
Okay. Well, do you recall previously stating that you didn't know what the weight was?
Correct.
And do you recall indicating that it could be a couple of pounds?
What?
Okay.
No.
Well, do you recall being asked a question? So you have no experience with weight, and you testify, well, I don't know what it weighed. I mean, it could be an 8-ball, but I don't even know what an 8-ball weighs. So, I mean, that's like asking me how much this weighs. I don't know. It's a couple of pounds. You want to see this?
No, I don't need to see it. What I was referring to was a body armor that I'd already opened and taken a couple of drinks of, and I held it up and said, I don't know what this weighs.
No,
Maybe a pound or
context.
two. That was in reference to the body armor, not to the baggies.
Context, mother
Okay, well,
effer.
in reality,
You
in a
got
5-second
nailed.
glance,
I told you to stop this shit. I told you you're looking bad. I told you to stop your questioning. Now you look like a moron.
would you agree with
Damn it.
me? You have no idea what the weight was.
Correct.
Okay. And you really, other than your guess, you have no idea for certain what was in that bag.
Correct.
Then may I just have one moment?
Dude, I told you to knock that shit off. You look dumb as fuck now. I've said the F word too many times. I need to stop.
Last question. Do you recall in those text messages between you and Miss Gutierrez Reed, she at one point asked you back for her things? Plural?
Yes.
Okay. And so things is more than one,
For
right?
God's sake, dude.
Yes.
Okay. I have nothing further.
Oh, like
Redirect.
like you're freaking Perry Mason there, and you somehow got her. No, you got schooled, old
Ms.
man.
Smith, have you ever seen powdered sugar packaged like that? Have you ever seen regular sugar packaged like that?
Never.
Have you seen cocaine packaged like that?
Yes.
This is why you don't do this to
You were
Mr.
asked
Bull.
some questions about your
You look like a damn tool.
contact with Ms. Gutierrez inside the room. Did you, when you were in there, in Ms. Gutierrez's room visiting with her, did you speak with her?
Yes.
Did she mention to you that she was extremely worried about Ms. Hutchins and Ms. Hutchins' death?
No, ma'am.
What specifically did she say to you when you were in her room with regard to any concerns that she had?
She was concerned about her career. She was concerned about being prosecuted because somebody got shot.
All right. Nothing further. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ask one more question.
Can we approach real quick?
Yes.
Oh man, that was bad for the defense. Now this is the interesting thing, though. They're charging Hannah with tampering with evidence. Hannah just passed it off. She the witness tampered with it. The witness was the one that destroyed it. So I think this is a not guilty for Hannah for tampering. She just
You
passed
were
it off.
The one that told Miss Gutierrez Reed that night that Halyna had passed, correct?
Yes.
Okay, nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Your excuse. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that gets Hannah off the hook. Hannah didn't destroy it. Hannah didn't tamper with it. She just passed it off. Equality gifted 5 Legal Vices memberships. That means equality. Seth Kenny's coming up. Right. Awesome. Equality is the new Vice Racks of the day with the 5 Legal Vices membership. If you got one of the memberships, make sure you give Equality a super special thanks. And Equality's also been a member for 3 months. Super busy at work, but I'm listening. We're listening to you. Here comes Seth Kenny. This is New Mexico. At least the powder wasn't blue. Ah, there you go. There you go. Good Breaking Bad reference there, Trent Thorough. Thank you so much. Island with a $5. Have you ever tried to travel with those protein powder tubs? They're bulky, dude. Just saying. Right. And Chelsea's been a member for 1 month. She didn't panic and ask her to leave with protein powder or sugar. Right. Oh my God, they're going to find my protein powder. Is the jury leaving? Adara the Wholesome. Weird. I went from not guilty to guilty over the weekend and was in the minority, and now not guilty went from 15% to 42%. Am I missing something? Pro defense? Yeah, no, the defense is dropping the ball here. Weird. Cheesehead lost on Bourbon Street. Will the weight matter for what she's being charged for the tampering? No. But she's trying to show the witness isn't credible because she doesn't know anything.
Thank you. We're in recess. We'll once you get back here at 5 of, okay? Thank you.
But she got schooled. All right, they are now in recess for 15 minutes. And they usually go overtime. Seth's like, I get to testify. Ah, shit. I'll be back in 15 minutes. Oh. See, but this is what we were just talking about. Well, let's do this here. That's not what we wanted to do. What do we want to do? We want to do this. Yeah. All right. So we can see the court, but you can also see my handsome mug. This is the thing, though. Hannah has been charged with tampering with evidence. I want to see what the statute says as far as what constitutes the elements of the crime of tampering with evidence. If passing it off to someone counts, maybe she's guilty. But she didn't destroy it. I don't think she tampered with it. The witness is the one that chucked it in the garbage. So I think unless there's something that says, handing off evidence or passing off evidence or trying to hide evidence, it constitutes tampering with evidence. I think she walks on that charge. But again, I don't understand the charge to begin with, really. They should be two separate charges. Because whether or not she tampered with evidence that she had cocaine on her possession, it doesn't relate to the crime. So yeah, I think it's weird that they're not charging her with tampering with evidence that has something to do with the actual manslaughter charge. But that's what they're choosing to go with, and they're going to have to explain it to the jury, and the jury's going to have to decide. And Adara, the wholesome Chet the surfer, is back. She just needs sunblock. And Island with $2. Crack is whack, Whitney Houston. Yeah. And Eric Foams. Oh my God, Becky, look at her scarf. I like big scarves and I cannot lie. You other brothers can deny. Sorry. Jennifer, member for 17 months. I tagged you on X with a video about little bags in airport security. Okay. Well, thank you very much there, Jennifer. Appreciate that. All right, we're on our morning break. We got 12, 15 minutes to kill here. So, well, phrasing, I guess. I just want to give a super special thanks. There's 517 of you here watching and or listening right now. To all of you that are sitting around your computers, that are walking around doing your exercise at the gym, your driver, your truck driver, whatever, you're an Uber driver, and you're listening to us as you go about your day. And if you're just got us on for background noise, thank you so much for being here. You could literally be anywhere watching anybody doing anything, and you chose to be here. So, gotcha. Legal Vices, why is Anna the lawyer not streaming? Who's Anna the lawyer? A-N-A. Anna. A-N-A. I don't know who you're talking about. Who are you talking about, Jerry? Is it Gary or Jerry? Could be Jerry, I guess. Anna, A-N-A. I don't know. She's one of your friends. Anna. I don't have any streamer friends. And Danny? Danny on Direct? Is that what we're talking about? Danny on Direct is streaming. No, that's Danny on Direct, and she is streaming. No, Danny is streaming. She's currently streaming. Yep, she's over there. She's streaming. I'm looking at her stream right now. So yeah, she is streaming. But doesn't matter because you're here. What she's doing now, that's her own business. No, I did not look. It was absolutely the other way around. That Star Wars girl. That would be A-N-N-A. And she doesn't stream right now. Yeah, so we've decided it was Danny on Direct, not Anna. But I'm excited. I get my that Star Wars girl Anna's calendar. Her 2024 calendar is going to be delivered to me tomorrow, so I can put it right up there and have the calendar where it normally goes. Cool. Right. Mystery solved. Yeah, we've solved the mystery. All right, folks. Let's see here. What was I talking about? I forgot what I was talking about. I forgot. I'm the best. Thank you very much. We want to see it, Jeff. Nope. What happened to the new chair? Yeah, I guess if you're really that desperate for conversation, let me adjust the stash here a bit. No, I got the chair from China. It arrived instant. I just looked at the box, and said, okay, this is way too small, and this is gonna suck. I opened it up. I said, yep, this is cheap shit material. This does suck. I got about 3/4 of the way through assembling the chair, and I'm just like, F it. This blows. I can't return it because I ordered it from China. So it was a $100 write-off. I didn't even get the thing fully assembled, and I took it down to the recycling pile and just chucked it. So this Saturday, I'm going to go out to the office places around town. There's like a furniture street here in town. It's got about 100 different furniture stores, and I'm gonna go shopping for a damn office chair directly. See, I just have this thing: never buy a chair without sitting in it first. I thought it would be good. The chair looked great in the pictures. It was absolute shit. So I've got this chair for at least another week. It needs to get back where it goes in the whiskey room, but you know, it's comfortable and I'll stay here. Let's see here. DCV Titan says you were looking up tampering charges. And I wasn't looking them up. I was just wondering what the I'm far too lazy to actually look it up right now. I'm just having fun chilling with you. So if we want a subject of conversation, I managed to repair a complicated soda maker machine all by myself this weekend. Well, cool. Good for you, Doc Ock Rock. Doc Ock Rock. Sounds like a which could be DSP, Dark Side Phil, or our alien invaders. It was such a good movie. I'm so excited we get Seth next. Seth next. Seth has to answer some questions. Contact Shizzy Wiznut. He's got chairs sussed. Well, he also lives on the other side of the planet from me. It's much better to buy chairs in your neighborhood than it is to have them shipped from around the other side of the planet, pay the shipping and the customs and everything else. I thought I would go discount with China. Learn my lesson. No, there's some great chairs here. I just thought I would get the one from China because it was cheaper, but wrong. Did you watch the PIB award, the PIB award? Nope, because I don't even know what that means. Person in black? Nope. No, I just said there's like a street with about 100 different furniture stores on them. There's like furniture store row. Yeah, so then I'm going there. So, but I'm going there now. I should have gone there, but you know, I just like to order because I don't like to engage with real humans out on the street. So I thought I would order a nice looking chair online. I got Alibaba, pretty big. So there you go. Yeah, there's a, like furniture street. It's like traditional. It's been like the furniture center of Busan for 100 years, and it's literally it's 1, 2, and across the street 3, 4 streets and a bunch of side streets. Literally, there's over 100 furniture stores. So there you go. Build your chair with your. Well, I did. I ordered a chair to build with my own hands from China, and it sucked. Oh, the dumb thing was, they put their main power bank right underneath the water. I hate when that happens. And then when any of them leak and fry the electronics, so I just replaced it with all mechanical stuff. It sounds like a smart thing to do to me. Are people in South Korea ever worried about North Korea and the crap goes? No. It's the same shit that's been going on for 70 years. It's no big deal. Nobody cares. I actually, like every now and then you're just like, North Korea is launching missiles into the sea. I usually hear about it first from friends who are going, "Oh my God, are we going to war?" Because they don't even report that stuff here anymore. It's a non-thing. Well, yeah, D. What I know that now. I know that now. Yeah. So no, I learn about seriously the last 4 or 5 missile launches I've learned about from people asking me, going, "Oh my God, I saw it." And I'm like, "Oh, they're not announcing it here." So, yeah, no biggie. It is a complete nothing burger, Alan Walsh. All right, let's see where are we going here. Huh. Right, we are supposedly 4 minutes away, but again, they usually popcorn in bed. See the popcorn in bed awards. What the hell is a popcorn in bed award? Your clarification actually confused me more. I've just got my popcorn here with me. I've got my Dune popcorn canister. That's what we. And does anybody do? See, I do this thing. Like I like spicy popcorn. So like my popcorn, I don't put any butter on it. I have like an uniodized butter salt. I sprinkle some of that on, and then I douse it with Tabasco sauce, and I shake it up, and then they put some more. So it's like laced with Tabasco sauce to make it a little bit spicy. Oh my God, I have a story. I have a story for you. I was worried about doing this stream because what I was supposed to do, and I'm getting really tired now. I'm getting really, really super tired right now. There's still about 2 hours to go before lunch. The plan was to come home from work, sleep for 3 hours, and then do my What the Hail stream and then this stream. But when I came home, I was making dinner and I pepper sprayed myself. I essentially pepper sprayed myself. How did I pepper? And I mean, seriously, the air in the house was unbreathable. I was choking and coughing like a madman for an hour and a half. The windows are open. It's 45, 50 degrees outside. But what happened was, again, I was making a hamburger patty because I was just going to like wolf down a hamburger patty and hit the rack to get some sleep for a couple of hours. I have two kinds of Tabasco sauce. Again, you just kind of being from Utah, you got to put Tabasco sauce on everything. I took the Tabasco sauce and I sprinkled it. I heavily Tabasco sauced about half of the patty. And then I flipped it. And I realized very quickly I'd made a mistake. Because the two kinds of Tabasco sauce I have is just normal Tabasco sauce, which I thought I had put on the burger. But as soon as I put it on the burger and flipped it, I realized I had made a grave mistake. And I had used a very, very healthy dose of scorpion pepper Tabasco sauce. Yeah, vaporize the pepper spray, basically. Yeah, but it wasn't normal Tabasco sauce, which I do regularly. It was scorpion pepper Tabasco sauce, which is about 10 times spicier than normal Tabasco sauce. It sits, the scorpion peppers sit right around 300,000 Scovilles, and it just created pepper smoke when that scorpion pepper Tabasco sauce hit the pan. It just went and just the air filled with pepper spray, essentially. It just filled with pepper spray. And I couldn't breathe. I was coughing. Oh my God, my nose was stuffed. Yeah, it was. And I got about 30 minutes sleep instead of the 3 hours I was hoping for. Well, they don't make Reaper pepper Tabasco sauce. The bottles look pretty identical. It's like because of me, they have warning labels on shit. Yeah, so that's what happened. I basically vaporized some scorpion pepper Tabasco sauce, and it just filled the house with essentially pepper spray, and it was bad. So yeah, this is like the dummy round. Exactly. I was the Halyna Gutierrez of hamburger cookers. I had a live round. I had a live burger and I didn't know it. Yeah. Oh, 20 times hotter. Oh, great. Well, there you go. Just another day with vices, right? I did it on, I accidentally put it on popcorn once too. It's thicker, but I didn't notice it, and I was like, oh, that was a little bit of a spice to the to the popcorn. But yeah, so I pepper sprayed and I was worried about not being able to go on stream because I couldn't talk. I mean, my voice was kind of like this because everything was closed up and my nose was clogged and my eyes were just burning, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna make for a great stream. But 3 hours later, and with windows open and just freezing to death in my house, it worked out. I blinded myself once while cooking. That wasn't fun. See, Koreans eat spicy food naturally. I mean, just everything is spicy, and I like things a little spicier than most Koreans do. And it's just like always, you're doing stuff, you're cutting spicy shit, and then you wash your hands, but apparently you don't wash them very good. And then you like rub your eye, and then you're like, ah, or worse, you scratch an itch in your nether regions, and you realize you didn't quite wash your hands as well as you thought you did, and that creates a whole thing. But Jay-Z with the $10 super chat. Been so long, too long since I caught alive. It has. Welcome back to the fold, prodigal daughter. Enjoying your coverage as usual. Missed your positive energy. Needed the bonus laughs. I have crushed nerve in the neck. Oh, Jeebus. So thank you. Oh man, that just sounds unpleasant. Like the worst pain. I mean, I've shattered my femur to the point where my right leg is about half an inch, about 1.5 centimeters shorter than my left leg. I broke both of my arms at the same time. I've had some pretty, I damn near sliced my left arm off. I've got so many scars that chicks dig me. That's how many scars I've got. I got lots and lots of scars on my body, basically because I'm a dumb fuck klutz. That's what it boils down to. But the worst pain I have ever been in my life was when I slipped a disc in my neck and I thought I was gonna die. That's literally the worst pain I've ever been in for 2-3 weeks, and I would not wish that on my worst enemy. And I would imagine a crushed nerve would kind of be similar to that. Yes, I see the judges back. I see people coming into court. Once the volume kicks on, we'll flip flop this and we'll get back. Well, I can do the banner here. We need to change our banner to Seth Kenny. Exit only. All righty, hide that. Let's do this. Day 8 morning witness Seth Kenny. Seth Kenny. What do we want to call him? Ammunition supplier. Not craft services at the hotel. Delete that. Save. And so far, Equality is our Vice Racks of the day with a $25 coming from 5 memberships. And we are $25 away from unleashing Pig Dog Cam. Strawberry's asleep on the chair, and we can watch Pig Dog Cam $25 from now. Ooh, this is going to be tense. She is really pretty. This girl back here with them. She is really pretty. Anyway, that's just me. Hey, if you're watching this, thelegalvices@gmail.com. Just say it. Because they look like pigs. They're just pig dogs. I've just called them pigs since the first day. They're just pig dogs. No, I'm appreciating God's handiwork. I'm not a simp. I'm appreciating God's handiwork.
Stand before the judge and raise your hand.
Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. Have a seat. Talk into the microphone. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. State your full name for the record, please.
Good morning, Seth Andrew Kenny.
Mr. Kenny, where to begin? In October of 2021, what kind of business did you run?
I ran a prop and weapons supply house to the film and entertainment industry. Could be anything from theater and also volunteer work associated with active shooter training.
Okay. Would you move that microphone a little closer
Sure.
to you there?
Yep.
If you can.
Is he saying he doesn't do this now?
And do you still have that business?
I do.
How did you get into the prop supply business?
I got contacted in about 2009. Had previously been consulting for a firearms business, indoor shooting range, and retail segment, as well as some law enforcement training. So there was a crossover. And from that, I met an individual that was working in the film industry. And at some point, he said he needed some help, and it was just going to be a 2-month thing, turned into 15 years.
Okay. And that individual, what kind of work did that individual do?
He did a similar thing where he set up weapons, sent them out onto shows, and also worked as an armor on set.
Okay. So how long have you owned PDQ props?
It's been
17
about
hours
12
and
years,
16
maybe
days.
13.
Okay. And at some point, sir, did you meet a gentleman by the name of Thel Reed?
I did very briefly. Oh, I was aware of Thale Reed because we were on opposite ends. He was working set on Django Unchained, and I was behind the scenes working with the prop master, preparing the weapons that were going to be used by cast. So I was aware of him then. And then very briefly, one day, a prop master brought him into the LA Prop House Arsenal, where I did actually meet him. It wasn't again until about 2018 where we became friends.
Okay. So when the two of you became friends, what did Thel do for a living, and how did it relate to what you did?
Well, primarily, he's more than anything, he's a gun coach. And
Some courts do, some courts don't. Some courts just ask for an affirmation. They don't make you swear. It's just up to the courts.
Is as being a gun coach. As an armor, he does a fantastic job, or he did back in the day. So he would work set, and on the back end, I would prepare the weapons. For the most part, I work set as little as possible.
Okay. When you say work set, what do you mean?
Actually, ending up on a call sheet, being hired by a film production. It could be episodics. It could be any TV show that you might see. Walking Dead, for instance, and then, or it could just be a feature film, like Django Unchained. And so when you are hired by production, you end up being an employee or an independent consultant for that production.
Okay. So working on set was not your thing.
Definitely not my focus.
Okay. And what, at some point in time, did you and Mr. Reed
One moment in
work
time.
on a film together where Mr. Reed was an armorer or a coach, and you were the vendor, the supplier?
I don't think it's that he's
That
big
was,
time. I think there's just not a lot of
It was
people that do what he
1883.
does.
It wasn't a feature film. It was more of a,
I think.
one
I don't know
run
what the hell I'm
episodic.
talking about. So yeah.
And I had been working with Taylor Sheridan's prop master.
And who's Taylor Sheridan?
Taylor Sheridan is a writer director of Paramount Production, and he's kind of created his own segment of Americana that's very popular.
Are you talking about Yellowstone and 1883?
Yellowstone 1883, Yellowstone 1923, Mayor of Kingstown, Sicario. He wrote Sicario.
Oh, wow.
Both, I believe. Wind River, amazing movie.
Okay.
Wind River's
That was
great.
actually the first time that I had been a provider consultant for Taylor.
Wind
Sheridan
River is
on
so
the
good.
Okay.
That was my
Let's
thing when I
jump
lived
back
back home.
1883.
I used to love going
Describe
hiking in
for
the Wind
jury,
Rivers. Oh
please,
my
how
god!
you and Mr. Reed sort of worked together on that series.
Well, I had to push hard to get him onto the crew and hired. And so we talked about it, and I'm fairly tight with a prop master. Again, we've been working together since Wind River. And I convinced him to hire Thale and to keep him on longer than most gun coaches or older persons would be allowed on set. Frankly, the Texas heat was just too much for him. So
And just so that everyone knows, approximately how old is Mr. Reed now?
Exactly, I don't know, but he's got to be pushing 80.
Okay. So in what capacity was Mr. Reed hired on the set of 1883? Was he a coach or an armorer?
Primarily, he was the gun coach, and he had difficulty with the Texas heat. So I was constantly making sure that he was in an air conditioned environment, and that's not something that a set on Texas allows for.
Sure. So describe for the jury the kind of gun coaching that was being done on 1883.
Well, it involved initially, it was pretty casual, and we were using replicas, and it happened to be Taylor Sheridan's private arena.
When you say replicas, are you talking
Was that there
about
the
real
Sixes
guns
Ranch?
or fake guns?
These are fake. These are fake guns,
Okay.
replicas. Yeah, and so that's where it started.
D
is
Wood
to
just
meet
gifted
and
5
greet
League of
and
Vices
just get
memberships.
some
If
of
you
the
got one of those
basics down.
memberships, make sure
And
you
Thale,
give D Wood a super
he's
special
been doing it
thanks.
for
Thank
so
you
many
so much, brother.
decades, 60 plus years as a gun coach.
Thank
and
you so
armorer.
much, D Wood.
He knows
That gets us to
small
Doggo Cam, by
bite-sized
the way.
pieces to the actors is best.
Okay.
So
Was there coaching sessions that included real firearms?
there were, and at some point, it was decided, and I'm not sure who made that decision, that they actually wanted to set up in a private range on a portion of Taylor Sheridan's private ranch with an appropriate backstop and it controls. And that is where
Taylor Sheridan is he's the
the
creator
cast,
of all those series,
there's a bit
Yellowstone
of a
and that.
team building as well.
He's
Learned
also the
about
guy that does all of the
functioning
cutting
of the
horses
firearms,
and the
we were
stopping
mixed
horses, all of
between
those
blanks
things.
and
He's the
live.
guy that in the show owns
We
the 4-6's ranch.
live
And
ammunition.
that's
in
actually
one
his
area,
ranch.
and
He has a
then
controlling
take
interest in
people
it.
off to the side and shoot blanks. And essentially, the safe distance on most blanks is about 20 feet.
Oh my
so
God.
we take them away from the firing line.
10
and
more
test
Legal
it and
Vices
train them
memberships.
there. And primarily,
Thank you so much, D. What you
they
are
had
now the
gotten
vice
it by
Rex.
that point. They had really
you so much.
understood for their characters what they needed to be.
That was the wrong button. Sorry. There we
with
go.
live ammunition, is that correct?
That's correct.
And do you recall what kind of caliber weapons
I meant
the
to do this.
cast was using to shoot that live ammunition from?
It was a mix we had available from memory, 12 gauge bird shot, just the basics of that. I don't think we even touched that ammo. The prop master had some guns that were chambered in 357, I believe, some lever actions, and also in 45 Colt or 45 long Colt. Both are okay. Both
All right.
terms.
Can you explain to the jury, well, let me ask you this. Do you know where the live ammunition came from that was used in those coaching sessions?
I do.
Where did it come from?
The 45 long Colt came from Thale. He had a number of reloads that I asked him to bring because at that time it was very difficult to source live ammunition. It was difficult. So he had what turned out to be 325 reloads of 45 long Colt.
And when you say reload, what are you talking about?
Well, it's once used case. So every case of ammunition starts out as new. And at that point,
What do you mean when you say case?
the actual brass case. So if we talk about a round of ammunition, there are 4 components to that.
Aaron Hack also
There's
gifted
the
5 Legal
yellowish
Vices
colored
memberships.
brass case.
Give the super special
Primer
thanks to Aaron
is
Hack.
pressed into the
Thank you.
base of the case.
Thank you.
Then we have
You're awesome.
gunpowder, some type of, could be black
Appreciate
powder,
it.
synthetic black powder, modern smokeless powder, and then you need a projectile. And so those four.
I don't deserve you guys. You guys are so
A
amazing.
single round of ammunition.
Okay. So the live ammunition that was used for the coaching session was provided by Mr. Reed.
Correct.
And if you know, I don't know if you do you know where he got it?
Yes, he said he got it from Joe Swanson.
Okay. And who's Joe Swanson?
Joe Swanson is probably the primary supplier of blanks and dummy rounds to worldwide. If you happen to see something go bang in a puff of smoke in a movie or an episodic, a television show, worldwide, chances are that Joe Swanson made it.
Okay. Now, was all of the 45 long Colt live ammunition that was
Got to stop
used
touching that
for
wrong
the
button.
training camp on 1883, was it all used up?
No.
So can you tell us approximately how much was left over?
It was.
I muted because I was
if memory
chewing
serves me
popcorn.
correct. It was about 125 rounds, roughly.
And
Nobody
what
wants to hear.
happened to that ammunition after you finished training the actors on 1883?
Well, that's a little bit hazy. At one point, I do recall that certain things were offloaded from my Sprinter van because they just weren't needed, and that was one of those things. But at some point, it got moved back to Albuquerque, and I've never been able to pinpoint the date.
The live ammunition was moved back to Albuquerque?
Correct.
And specifically, where in Albuquerque was it being housed?
It was in a gray bin marked live ammunition, and it was actually in the bathroom
Of where?
of PDQ's location in Albuquerque.
It's like
Of your
totally in the
business.
bathroom,
Correct.
dude.
Okay.
Like next to
And
the
can you
stash.
explain to the jury how you would keep, how did you know it was live, and how were you able to keep it separate from dummies
Totally
and
not a
bullets?
Russian bot. Again, they
Well,
found
it's-
live
it's-
ammunition in his
It's
place, but it
obviously
didn't match the
it's a
live
concern.
ammunition on the set.
Anytime you've got these things in, let's just say, one structure, and in this instance, always better to keep live ammunition near blanks rather than dummy rounds, because dummy rounds and live ammunition can look exactly the same. So if we were to look, if I were to set aside a single blank and a piece of in a round, single round of live ammunition, it would be obvious which is which just from looking at it. Okay. The same cannot be said for live ammunition. So these are things that should never be next to each other.
Did you keep all of the 45 long Colt live ammunition in the gray bin?
It was in the gray bin, and it was marked.
What's
on
the
two
evidence that he
sides,
did
live
that?
ammunition.
That's the point.
Did you
There's
have
no evidence whatsoever that
45
he did
long
that.
Colt live ammunition stored anywhere other than the gray bin at PDQ in Albuquerque?
No.
And do you recall a search warrant being executed at PDQ?
I do.
And when the search warrant was executed, were you present?
I was.
Did you aid the police?
Absolutely.
And
You were very
did you provide law enforcement all of the 45 Colt live ammunition that you had at PDQ?
Yes, and it wasn't spelled out in the warrant that way. If my memory serves me correct, the warrant specified that any live.
Yeah, well, and it's
There you
okay.
go.
We'll move on from that. I understand your concerns. So let's not talk about the warrant, okay?
Whiskey ASMR.
Was there another show that you and Mr. Reed both supplied firearms and
No.
ammunition to after
Mo-
1883?
Just a little
No.
dusting of
So
baby powder will
let
take
me,
care of that.
did you supply firearms, or, and when I say ammunition, I apologize, I mean blanks and dummies, to the set of a movie called The Old Way?
Yes.
That's the Nicolas Cage movie.
That was filming concurrently with 1883.
Okay, they were happening at the same time.
Yes.
All right. So what did you
Wait,
provide?
excuse me. Wait, actually, sorry. Now that I think about it, actually, Hannah was wrapping The Old Way, and we were still in pre-production at that point. I don't think we had gone to camera yet.
On 1883?
Yeah, I remember being in Texas at the time when Hannah was wrapping out The Old Way, which is essentially concluding filming. No more camera work at all, right? She's packing up her guns. She's packing up her bags
Okay.
to leave Livingston, Montana. And we were still prepping to go to camera, but working for production on 1883.
Okay. So you indicated that Hannah was involved in the movie The Old Way. Can you explain to the jury in what capacity was she working on that film?
Well, it was her first solo lead as head armor. And Thale got in touch with me and said that.
Hang on. I don't want any hearsay.
Okay.
So she was the lead armor, and that was the first movie she was lead armor on.
Correct.
Okay. Explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you supplied to the set of The Old Way.
Roughly half the guns, most of them the long arms, which are lever actions, and shotguns, and single shot rifles as well. And then there was a mix of about 50% Thale, 50% PDQ supplied the blanks. I supplied 14 rounds of 3840 dummy rounds.
That's all?
And Thale and Hannah supplied the balance of the dummy rounds.
Okay, so you supplied the only dummies that you supplied to The Old Way were caliber 3840.
Correct.
Did you supply any 45 long Colt dummy
Rounds
rounds to the set of The Old Way?
No, I didn't have any.
And you only supplied 14 3840 dummies?
It's all I had. Yeah.
Okay. And it's your understanding that Mr. Reed and Ms. Gutierrez supplied the remaining.
See, and that shows you how
to that
it
show.
was to get ammo back then. It's like, dude, how many of these you got? We got like 14 rounds. Okay, I will take them. That's how difficult it was to get ammo during
the
the struggle
that Ms.
times.
Gutierrez supplied to the set of The Old Way. If you know, do you know where she got them?
She got them from Thale.
All right.
Yes, we're talking about the movie The Old Way with Nicolas Cage. We're talking about it because that was Hannah's first film as armorer. Was The Old Way. This is her second film as armorer. Rust.
Do you source a lot of your ammunition from Mr. Swanson?
100%. Actually, no, excuse me, 90%.
And do you source from Mr. Swanson?
And again, not ammunition.
Understood.
Dummy rounds and blanks.
Okay. Do you source both dummy rounds and blanks from Mr. Swanson?
Dummy rounds 100% from Joe Swanson.
Okay. I think we should look at some pictures.
The relevance is that Hannah was the armor on The Old Way.
Mr. Bowles, will you have a look at something with me? I don't want it to be displayed yet. So here's just so that you know. These are already in evidence. So he and I are going to go through. Sorry, thank you.
Strawberry's missing. Strawberry's missing everything. There was some behind the scenes. That was the deal. It's like Nicolas Cage complained about Hannah and was unhappy with her performance as Armor. We're live. We can't fast forward through this. Wish we could, but we can't, so we won't.
I'm good. Thank you.
The movie, the old one was long before Rust.
Thank you. Mr. Kenny, do you see the photograph on your screen?
I do.
Thank you. Have you ever had a box of dummies from Mr. Swanson with that label?
No, never.
And why would you not have a box with this label if you're sourcing your dummy rounds from Mr. Swanson?
Well, 1883 was the first period show that that I needed 45 long Colt dummy rounds for. Prior to that, even though we had done a flashback scene with Tim McGraw in Yellowstone, there was no call for dummy rounds, or the prop master sourced them elsewhere. So I just never needed them. And when I did, I needed them by the thousands, not by boxes of 50. And so what happened is Joe Swanson, he asked me, do you want me to package them up? I said, no, there's no point. Right? It's more work for everybody. So he sent them to me in bulk.
Okay. And so you never had anything like this in your possession?
Never.
And let's talk about the dummy rounds that you provided to the set of Rust. Did you provide 45 long Colt dummy rounds to the set of Rust?
I did. I supplied a single box of 50 on October 12th.
And where did those dummy rounds come from?
They had just come off of the day prior from the prop truck in Texas from 1883.
So when you took the dummy rounds that you supplied to the set of Rust from the prop truck on 1883, walk us through what you did with them.
So the Sarah and Hannah had issues with a couple of guns, and so potentially they needed replacements. There was an issue with the reassembly after cleaning. So I pulled some of PDQ's inventory from the 1883 prop truck to make sure that I had something to replace. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a 45 long Colt chambered gun that matched what they had on Rust, but I did find one chambered in 4440. So I took that gun, a box of 4440 dummy rounds, and also spotted some antiqued 45 long Colt dummy rounds in bulk, and put them literally into a double bag of some type of grocery store bag. And those three items went into my Sprinter van, and I drove straight from that set to my PDQ's location in Albuquerque.
And when you got to the PDQ location in Albuquerque, what did you do with the 45 long Colt dummy rounds that you brought from 1883?
It's kind of an odd thing to say, but because there were probably a considerable amount of money in firearms in the van at the time that were headed back to California, I slept in the van with the guns behind closed gates, but that's just what you have to do. So it wasn't until the morning of the 12th that they were brought into the my place, PDQ's
Hey, Fiery Red Podcast, what's up?
Okay, and what did you do with them when you brought them inside?
Well, I got rid of the grocery bags straight away, and I built a small brown cardboard box, and they got poured into there. Sarah Zachary was running late, and when she showed up, I was able to reassemble and test the gun.
And let me stop you real quick, just so that we're connecting all the dots. Why was Sarah Zachary coming to PDQ on October 12th?
Because we were smashing.
She needed to find out whether or not I could quickly reassemble the gun without issue and make sure that it was ready to be used on camera for rust.
And were you able to do that?
I was.
Okay.
But she ended up running probably 3 hours late. And I had nothing else to do. Essentially, I was just waiting to meet with her and drive to California. So while I was sitting there doing nothing, I looked at these overly antiqued rounds that had been dipped in a chemical that patinaed not only the lead bullets, but also the cases very heavily, too heavily. And they didn't look right. They didn't look right for camera. So I just sat there and decided, well, I'll just see what it looks like after I polish them up with some Quado steel wool. And that's what I did. What I realized, though, too, is that some of the chemicals seemed to have leaked into the case, and some of the rattles seemed muddy. And
what do you mean when you say some of the rattles seemed muddy?
Well, Joe Swanson, for the most part, stopped using BBs inside the dummy rounds because the sound guys could hear them on camera. So if the gun is being manipulated, you could actually hear the dummy rounds rattling around. And there's a number of instances where I can hear dummy rounds in TV and movies where I can spot it. And I'm like, oh, you can hear the dummy rounds rattling. It's kind of interesting. So he switched to using a single piece of number 2 lead shot, which is an adequate rattle, but it's a little bit muffled. And I suspect what had happened is the chemical had caused some kind of gooey layer to my best guess.
Sorry, I don't know why gooey
So I
layer hit me
noticed that
funny, but it did.
Some of they just didn't sound safe to me. They just didn't sound like I wanted, Hannah and Sarah to have to be dealing with something.
I'm 12.
That seems odd. And so I selected, before I sat there and polished each dummy round, I had to make sure, one, it rattled before I spent a minute polishing around. If we're talking about a box of 50 plus writing a label on both ends, I sat there with this box for an hour. So they got rattled before they got polished, and then re-rattled to make sure they would rattle without issue, and then individually inserted into the box.
Okay. Hang on just a second. Mr. Kinney, I'm going to show you what has previously been entered into evidence as Defendant's Exhibit L43. I'm not going to switch over to the Elmo for this because it requires too many steps and it'll take too long. Do you recognize that?
I do.
Cigarette butts, but we know it's dummies.
What is this a photo of?
It's a photo of the brown cardboard box that I had just taped up to purposely hold those aged dummy rounds. And you can see in the picture what they look like before being polished with Quado steel wool.
Okay. I am going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 174. There's no objection to admitting this into evidence, and I'd like to publish.
Right. State 174 is admitted. You may publish.
Mr. Kinney, what is this a photo of?
That's the same box. Just it's missing I think I saw some spent blank cases.
Oh, is that like a block of
Box as
steel
well as the
wool
Quado steel
that was up there in the corner?
Okay. So when did you take this photograph?
I don't recall.
Is this a photograph of the dummy rounds that you provided to the set of Rust?
That's correct. So it would have to be the picture was either taken on October 12th or after,
Okay.
because that box and those dummy rounds didn't exist until that morning of October 12th.
Okay. And after I think you indicated that you rattled them, polished them, and rattled them again. Is that right?
Correct.
Shake, rattle, and roll, baby. Oh, what's up? Hey, good morning, Strawberry. How are you? What up,
And
Straubs?
did you? How did you provide them to the set of Rust? Were they in a bag? Were they in a box?
They were
The
in
girl
a,
from
in a white
Ipatina goes
box
walking when she goes
with
walking.
white gaffer tape, which is kind of a pattern tape, very strong. And I hand wrote in blue Sharpie ink on both ends of the box what the contents of it were.
All right, I'm going to show you what has been previously entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 48. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What's that?
That is the box of dummy rounds that I supplied to Sarah Zachary on October 12th.
So the dummy rounds that we saw in the box, in the brown box in the previous photo, you took those and you put them into this box.
What we see in the brown box with the aged dummy rounds is the remainder, because again, I didn't just take 50 rounds. I took, I would estimate, up to nearly 100 in total. So we've got, this is a box that contained 50 dummy rounds, aged and polished, and the remainder was left in that brown cardboard box.
When you're talking about the remainder, are you talking about what's shown in Defendant's Exhibit L43?
Yes.
Yes.
And the other photo of the brown box without the steel wool, are those the ones that actually ended up in the box and went to Rust?
No, those are still the remainder.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 48A. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What's that?
It appears to be that same, the foam insert and dummy rounds.
Okay, this is
the polished antique dummy rounds that I gave.
Pretty
to Sarah
standard.
Zachary on
No
October
major
12th.
bombshells yet. No
Although
major revelatory.
One of them appears
testimony,
like it doesn't belong.
questions.
You talking about this one?
I believe it to be that round. It doesn't look like it's had any aging, and I think I've seen it in other evidence photos where they're laid on their side and it stands out.
So, and hang on just a second. Let's do this. Let me show you what has been previously entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 166. What's the round you're talking about?
That's it. If we look at the top row and all the way to the right of the top row, just beneath that, it appears that round is inconsistent.
Circle.
I don't have the touch. So that round that I've circled in red does not
Circle in
appear
red.
like the others. And I have a tough time thinking that I would provided that round.
Okay. And after you gave the box to Ms. Zachary and it was taken to the set of Rust, do you know what was done with it after that?
No, I had, even if she left it in her car, I had no idea what she had done with it.
Okay.
Whether or not they used it or not.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been previously entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 39. Do you recognize that?
I've seen this photo before. Yes.
Do you recognize the dummy rounds that appear to be in the belt? Is it hard to tell from this photo?
It's hard to tell. Yeah.
Okay, so let's
And the shadows in the photos make it difficult as well.
okay. Let's go ahead and move to State's Exhibit 40. This is previously entered into evidence. Does that photo help?
It does.
So I believe we've heard testimony that these are from the crime scene specialist, that these are the rounds that were taken out of the belt. Do those look like your rounds?
They do. They're definitely similar. A higher resolution on an iPad would be ideal, but they look very similar. Can I guarantee that those are the PDQ rounds? No, it would be difficult to say. Casually, yes. Court of law, not so
Okay.
much.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been previously entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 49. Do you see that?
I do.
And do you see that this photograph has an extra round up here?
I do.
Are you familiar with what a Denix round is?
I am.
What's a Denix round?
Well, it's a costume round.
What's the difference between a costume round and a dummy round?
One wears cool clothes.
Costume rounds don't rattle. First off, the Denix round that I've found, that I've tested, won't chamber in a gun either. The cast manufacturing seam is out of spec, so even though it says 45 Colt or 45 long Colt on the end of it, you actually can't get it to chamber.
Hang on just a second. When you said the cast manufacturing seam, can you see that in the photo?
I can. Yep. I'm gonna go ahead and underline it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Have you ever had Denix rounds in your inventory?
No, because it's something that if it doesn't rattle and it's coming from a weapons supplier, a vendor, it sets a dangerous precedent that we can say some dummy rounds don't rattle. And there is definitely debate regarding this point. PDQ, though, and I have never sent out any dummy round that doesn't rattle, whether or not the primer has been struck by a firing pin. So even if we're talking about, well, we can assume that because the firing pin has hit the primer, it must be a dummy round and there's nothing in it. And that is definitely not the case.
Yes. Why are you buffering? Someone want to explain this? Why are we buffering?
Primers will not go off with just one hit of a firing pin. And so we don't know that that's a purpose-built dummy round. Unless it rattles, it's not to be trusted.
Okay. And did you provide a Denix round to the set abreast?
No.
And it's your testimony that the Denix rounds actually don't really fit in the revolver. Is that right?
The ones that I've tested do not.
Okay. Because of the seam.
Because of the seam. And it appears overall that they're oversized very slightly, but it's enough to prevent them from being inserted into a revolver.
Okay. And do you know a gentleman by the name of Billy Ray?
Iris?
I don't know him personally. We've communicated. Actually, no, excuse me. Let me back up. We did meet briefly. We met briefly. He owns a similar company providing weapons and props as well as dummy rounds and blanks to productions. I believe he's a set designer.
Did you reach out to Billy Ray with regard to supplying dummy rounds to the set of Rust?
I did. Again, PDQ, everything we had slated in inventory was to be used on 1883. So we didn't have any 45 Colt dummy rounds. So I reached out to Billy Ray by text and asked him if he did have any.
Well, Joe, you're not from the
because,
Southwest. Every third person is Billy Ray
they
and
needed
Bobby
more.
Joe and
Did he have
Billy
any?
Jr.
He did not. But what he did have, which appears on camera, and to anyone else, if you were to insert what he did have into a leather gun belt from 3 feet away, you wouldn't know what was in that gun belt. And so what he had was very specifically, he got back to me and said, I have 98 44-40 dummy rounds and 42 38-40 dummy rounds.
And were those provided to the set of Rust?
He met up with Sarah Zachary, and that's how they ended up, I'm assuming, on set.
And are you the person that connected them so that Ms. Zachary could obtain the dummy rounds?
Yes.
So to the best of your knowledge, did Billy Ray provide any 45 long Colt dummy rounds to the set of Rust?
No, I mean, he was very specific. I mean, casually you'd say, well, I've got 3 boxes that'll work, but he went into greater detail.
Okay. And let me stop you there. And when you were talking about having a 38-40 or a 44-40 dummy round in a gun belt, you said that the viewer wouldn't know what they were looking at.
That's correct.
And is that because they look?
That's the
very,
general
very similar to
consensus was
45 long
that
Colt?
was that Hannah brought them on to set. This is just, oh God, this is a clusterfuck. Everybody is not running a tight ship here.
So in terms of dummy rounds, we understand that you provided some, and we've looked at those photos. You've testified that Billy Ray provided some, and you've explained that to us. Was there anyone else who provided 45 long Colt dummy rounds to the set of Rust?
Yes.
Who's that?
That was Hannah.
And if you know, where did Ms. Gutierrez say that she got the dummy rounds from that she took on to the set of Rust?
It was the same supply that she had gotten from Thale that she used on the old way.
And how do you know that?
Comment, it was just conversation and text message.
She told you?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 175. It's my understanding that there is no objection to this, and I would.
I don't know if they can be.
Publish.
I don't know any of these two, prosecutor or witness can do to make it a little more engaging, but they're both talking in a monotone, and it's kind of boring.
Sir, have you seen this before?
I have.
And what is this? It's a conversation. Who's participating in the conversation?
Sorry, I've broken my glasses.
Lame.
Yeah, it's a text conversation between myself and Hannah.
And what's the date of this conversation?
Again, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses. October, was it 5th?
Do you need some readers? I probably have 5 pairs.
It's the new prescription. I broke my glasses, and the new prescription makes me feel nauseous. So let's see.
Does that help you?
Oh yeah, October 5th.
Okay. What are you and Ms. Gutierrez talking about here?
Well, we're talking about the let's see. Well, what specifically? There's a few dates in there.
Go ahead and just take a moment and review it, and then I'll ask you some questions about it.
Well, I'm asking her about how she was looking on, for leather.
And when you say leather, what do you mean?
It would be primarily gun belts, but it could also mean
Jeff, talk
bandoliers
like
as
them so
well.
I can
don't
fall
think-
asleep. All
I
right, if
don't
that's what you
recall
want
that
me to
Russ
do.
had call for
We can talk
bandoliers.
like them too.
It was
Just get the
primarily
information out
gun
there, but do
belts
it
and
in as
holsters.
monotone as
Each
possible.
gun belt can hold up to 18 rounds of
Okay.
dummies.
So to kind of move through this in this text conversation, does Ms. Gutierrez indicate to you that she can't find any of the dummies?
Yeah, and she mentions, some of them are still in the belt and in the belts.
So hang on.
Yep.
When
Assless
she
chat.
says she
All-
can't find any of the dummies,
All
what is
chaps
your
by
response?
definition are assless. So assless chaps
Sorry
are
about this.
it's a
What
misnomer.
happened to the dummy?
All
what happened to the
chaps
dummy
are
rounds from
assless,
Toe,
just by
which
definition.
is an abbreviation of the old way.
Okay. And what's her response?
Some of them are still in the belts.
And then what do you explain to her? Something about dummy rounds don't get returned. What are you telling her? And let me know if you need.
That's
me
some
to
thug life
make
shit.
it bigger.
Yo, bruh, dummy rounds don't get returned. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I was just explaining, to her that she needs to, let me know, or as a normal course of business moving forward, now that she's no longer underneath her dad's wing, that if something gets lost or damaged on set, the production needs to pay for it.
You said that's an L&D. What does L&D mean?
Lost or damaged.
Okay.
And in this instance, she's just saying, essentially, yeah, they fall, just commonly, the dummy rounds fall out of gun belts for stunts, or even maybe picked up for souvenirs by extras or actors. Who knows?
Chaps that are not
Okay.
assless are just called leather
Ms. Gutierrez
pants.
responds, and she actually, I think, confirms what you just said. Isn't that right?
Yes.
She says, you never mentioned this. I definitely lost some off of the belts during the action scenes.
Right.
She says maybe like 50 total. I'm not sure.
You lost 50
And then she
dummy
says,
rounds
"So I
off
have
the
to round
belts?
those up tomorrow and count these."
Yep. That was.
Yeah, you need to take inventory.
And then does she say to you,
Not a misnomer, they're a
you both
negligent
just send
number.
me out
Right.
to do these things and
Thank
don't
you,
teach
Knox
me
Fears.
right? Shame
No,
on both
assless
of you.
chaps are a negligent number.
Yes.
Okay. And you respond, you're a naughty child. I'll let Papa handle this one.
Right.
Oh no!
Partially.
Oh no! Whoa, time out. This is worth stopping for. Oh no. If you were ever wondering if Seth and Sarah were smashing, if they were knocking boots, if they're bumping the uglies, if they were doing the horizontal mambo, they were just, just by virtue of that text. Oh, sweet Jesus. That's all the confirmation we needed. Look at that. She knows what's coming. Oh, no. No, Seth. Oh, Lord have mercy. All right. That removes all doubt in my mind as to whether or not they were smashing. Holy shit. I bet he's embarrassed about that one.
And you respond, you're a naughty child. I'll let Papa handle this one.
Oh,
Right.
Were you
God.
joking?
No.
Partially.
No, you were knocking boots. Oh, Lord.
And what was her response?
That is a text message you hope to God would never be broadcast across the world on YouTube during a criminal trial. Oh no. Ooh, making the beast with two backs with Sarah.
So what if I need more? You guys freaking blow.
Okay.
Oh, these texts.
So based on State's Exhibit 175, was it your impression that Ms. Gutierrez was bringing dummy rounds that were already loaded into gun
Wait, that was
belts?
Hannah?
Absolutely. Not only that, but
Wait, that was Hannah? I thought that was from Sarah. Well, see, again, there was there was some hints that there may have been something going on, and that Sarah was jealous of Hannah, and Hannah called Sarah a cunt, and they hated each other. There were some rumors that they were all vying for the attention of Big Daddy Seth. Oh, I thought that was Sarah's text. That was Hannah's text. All right. Well, as I said, there's some allegations, assertions, rumors that there was a little bit of vying for attention, shall we say, amongst the women folk.
Counting on it.
What do you mean you were counting on?
All right, let's catch
Because
up.
there, everything else from PDQ was slated for 1883. In fact, some of it wasn't even manufactured yet, so there was just no inventory. And the only way that they were going to have dummy rounds on Rust is by reaching out to other suppliers in the business, and they needed them straight away. And Billy Ray happens to be in Albuquerque, so that's a straightaway solution.
Okay, was it your understanding from that conversation with Ms. Gutierrez that the dummy rounds that she was providing to the set of Rust were left over from the old way?
Yes.
Well, this is where we've devolved to in chat. Thank you so much, Boosh, for leading us very
I'm gonna
quickly to
take
rock
you to
bottom.
I'm
Jesus.
going to take you to October 21st, 2021. Do you recall that day?
Yes.
And let me ask you, prior to October 21st of 2021, were you ever physically present on the set of Rust?
No.
When was the first date that you were physically present on the set of Rust?
It was when the sheriff's department executed the warrant on the prop truck.
And why did you need to be present for the sheriff's department to execute the warrant on the prop truck?
It wasn't that I needed to be, as much as I felt I wanted to be there to facilitate.
And how did you intend to facilitate?
But just to be available to answer questions that may have come up.
In addition to providing blank ammunition and some dummy rounds to the set of Rust, did you also provide firearms?
Yes.
Approximately how many firearms did you provide, if you recall?
Approximately 30.
And do you know where the 30 firearms that you provided were being stored?
They were being stored on the prop truck, in the safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let me ask you specifically, did you provide to the set of Rust the Pieta 45 that became Mr. Baldwin's prop gun?
I did.
And where did you get that gun from?
Those guns came from Pieta's. Pieta's an Italian manufacturer, and they supplied, or they have a principal, and I think it's a single importer located in California. And I purchased them specifically for the Rust show directly from their facility in California.
And do you know when you purchased that gun, was it new or was it used?
Baldwin's gun was brand new, as were I believe it's 11 of the 12 revolvers that were rented to the Rust production were all brand new.
So I'm going to take you back to October.
Hey, it's not SA if you want it.
21st, did you find out that there was some sort of an injury that had taken place on set?
I did. I missed a call from Sarah Zachary, and quickly thereafter, she sent me a single word by text in all caps, emergency.
And when you received that text, what did you do?
I called her back within a few minutes.
Okay. And
Duncan Idaho says, I think this guy had a few
During the
negligent
conversation,
discharges
did
too.
you tell Sarah Zachary to do anything with any of the dummy rounds or firearms or anything like that on set?
No, absolutely not.
Young
Forever says, you think we'll see Thel on the
After your
stand?
conversation with Ms. Zachary,
I think they
you
should
told us
rest
to
right after Seth.
I did. I tried.
He should be their
several times to
final
get hold of him.
witness. Go
and
out
were
on
you-
a high
Were
note.
you ultimately able to get a hold of him?
I was. He returned, and I recall texting him as well, and he did finally return my call.
Okay, and I'm not going to ask you what he said during that call. During the filming of Rust, did you occasionally communicate with Ms. Gutierrez?
Yes.
And was there a time that you and Ms. Gutierrez had a disagreement?
The primary disagreement occurred on October 16th.
And what was the subject matter of that disagreement without saying what anyone said?
Subject matter related to an accidental discharge of a blank on the set of Rust.
Okay. After the disagreement that you had with Ms. Gutierrez on October 16th, did you, if you recall, did you speak to her again before this, between the 16th and the 21st?
No.
And why weren't you speaking to her? Was there anything that she did or said during the October 16th conversation that was upsetting to you?
Well, it was clear that she was emotional. She sent me a text message back that had a number of expletives associated with it, and
Tell us what they were.
and so, I just felt that she needed some space, and maybe an apology was due, and I was just going to give it some time.
An apology was due to who?
Well, I thought to me.
Okay,
Um,
understood. Sir, did you provide any live ammunition to the set of Rust?
no,
Did you ever give any live ammunition to Sarah Zachary?
no,
Have you seen photos of the live ammunition that was found on the set of Rust?
I have.
Did you possess any ammunition that looked like that?
No.
At some point in time after the incident on the 21st, did you become aware that you were perhaps being blamed?
I started to sense that there was efforts to redistribute blame or the cause of this accident.
Was there a morning news show that you watched that?
I'm gonna object.
Yeah, I'm going to object. Oh, I just reached to go fast forward through this objection, but then I remembered we can't. We're in real time. Let Big Daddy Seth take care of you, Judge. Oh, no. Yep, we don't have anything to read because super chats are dried up. Just saying. Righty. I don't know. I think this should be the last witness for the prosecution. I mean, for all the monotone delivery, all of the blasé, the generalness, he is testifying as he just did. We've supplied no live ammo to the set. They weren't taking care of the brass real well. They weren't, and so the implication is she brought it on set. She's the one that's not taking care of stuff. And there. Because I mean, they had a good witness with Joel. I don't know why they buried Joel in the middle of everything. I would have got my last two witnesses would have been probably Seth, and then I would have ended with Joel. Well, it depends what you mean by proved beyond. They have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Who else would have got it? They've had several witnesses say that none of the rounds they found with PDQ here with Seth matched the live rounds on set. There's been no other explanation of how they would have got on. So I think they pretty much proved that she brought it on set. At least to me, I'm convinced that Hannah brought the live rounds on set. Or Sarah brought it on set. Yeah, but you got to buy. I mean, I don't know if that's reasonable because you'd have to buy in the fact that she would go so far as to risk the lives of everybody on set to get back to Hannah. You'd have to prove that she would have. I mean, that requires too big of a leap for me. It doesn't seem reasonable. I mean, like aliens.
Mr. Kinney,
Yeah.
did you Did you see a morning news show?
I have seen one.
I'm talking about a morning news show where Mr. Bowles and Mr. Reed were the guests.
Yes, I do remember that.
And did anything about their statements on that morning news show cause you to believe that you were perhaps being targeted or blamed?
And Janet, you are correct. In my view, you are absolutely correct. In the end, as we've said several times throughout
It's
this,
difficult to answer.
it doesn't matter really how the live ammo got there. If Hannah brought it, it makes her more negligent. If she didn't bring the live rounds, it didn't make her less negligent for not catching it.
Knowing Thale and having been friends with him for a few years at that point, I understood who he was and how much he loves his daughter.
Enough to lie about it. Enough to
So
lie.
I felt like what was about to happen, that was the very beginning. And that was essentially to ultimately try to pin the live ammunition on the set of Rust, that somehow it came, through me.
Okay.
They wanted to throw me under the bus.
Mr. Kinney.
Yeah, I'm gonna get 4 or 5 hours sleep after this.
Did Ms. Gutierrez, with the assistance of Mr. Bowles, file a lawsuit against you?
They did. It's give or take a couple of days, January 12th of 2022.
And when the lawsuit was filed against you, at that point in time, did you fully understand that you were being blamed?
At that point, it was quite
And so I think through circumstantial evidence, they've proved beyond a reasonable doubt that she brought it.
What is the status
That's
of
how I
that lawsuit now?
Well, the complaint.
Okay, that's a good objection. It doesn't matter. The current status of the lawsuit doesn't really matter. You don't have to prove something absolutely. You don't have to you just have to convince the jurors that she brought it. You just have to convince the jurors that Hannah Gutierrez brought the live rounds beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think they've done that. Chelsea says, if I'm on the jury, I believe she brought it in. Well, let's see what you guys think here. Let's go to the poll, the like and subscribe poll. We got 494 people here and 426 likes. Come on, everybody, smash that like button. Do it while they're sidebarring. You got nothing else better to do with your time. So smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We do some awesome stuff here on the channel. I would be honored to have you as a subscriber. And then like and subscribe. And if you are subscribed, just double check to make sure you are. And check our like and subscribe poll. How do you feel about the case now? Right now, if you had to vote guilty or not guilty, how should Hannah be found? Hannah should be found. 59% of you say guilty and 41% of you say not guilty. That's actually really close. That's actually really close. I have to lean towards guilt. And the main reason I have to lean towards guilt is if you take away everything, every witness, every piece of evidence has been introduced, you're left with Hannah's statement she gave to the police during the first interrogation. She was responsible for everything. She said she checked everything in the morning. She checked everything in the afternoon, which clearly she didn't. She said she checked every round in Alec Baldwin's gun and they all rattled. Demonstrably false, because one was a live round and wouldn't have rattled with a BB in the dummy round, and another one had a hole in the side, so it wouldn't have had BBs in it. Clearly lied about that. I think Hannah convicted herself. There's no way to make what Hannah said during her first interrogation less bad for her. She and we said it when we watched the interview a couple days ago. I may have said it when we did it initially way back in the day, but 4 or 5 minutes into her interrogation by the police, she's done. She said all the bad stuff right up front. I'm responsible for everything. I did all these things, which clearly she didn't do because Halyna Hutchins is dead. Who loaded the gun? Hannah said she loaded it. That's another thing. She said she loaded the gun. She said she loaded 5 rounds before lunch. 1 round wouldn't go in, so she left it on the cart. Then when she came back, she cleaned it
Mr.
up a
Kinney,
bit and then
Was
loaded the
that lawsuit
6th
later
round.
dismissed?
It was.
Oh, they get to ask it.
I'll pass the witness.
All right. Let's see what we do on cross. This should be a long cross. So buckle up, settle in, relax. This could be long.
Good morning, Mr. Kenny.
Good morning.
We've met
Oh, hell
over
yeah.
Zoom, but we've never officially met in person.
It's not
Until
either
this
or.
morning. Is that correct, sir?
You can have several people that are criminally negligent.
Mr. Kenny, I want to walk you through.
They should both go down, I think.
The 1883 set, and I think initially Thel Reed had brought live rounds in a green ammo can. Is that correct?
That's correct. They were, and specifically they were reloads. Yes.
And these were reloads, and some percentage of them were Starline brass reloads. Is that correct?
Yes, I think I would just guess a good percentage, roughly 50% of the cases were Starline.
Now, I think you described previously that there were 3 types of bullet characteristics within those reloads. Is that correct, sir?
That is.
And will you tell the jury what 3 types of reloads there were?
So again, if we consider that a round of ammunition has 4 components, and commonly people say bullets, and what they were referring to is a total cartridge, right? But the bullet is actually the projectile, that single component, which essentially is flying towards whatever target. And Thale had brought 45 Colt reloads that were made up
popcorn
roughly of almost equal thirds, and it was a third what are called semi-wad cutters. The tip of that projectile is shaped exactly like a crayon. It has the exact shape of a newly unused crayon. Then there was another bullet profile, a truncated cone, which kind of has the spaceship look to it. And then there was the more common and typical found heavy grain bullet, which is, I think, probably what most people would assume is a bullet when they do that. And it just looks like a lump of clay. And it could be, there are slight variations to those shapes, but it could look like a human head, essentially, that was circular on all the way around the sphere.
Okay, kind of like a rounded kind of.
Yeah, and they even with a flat point.
Damn it! Why do I love that book so much?
Versions all
God
seem
damn
to
it.
be roughly the same. I didn't see any variations in those, but honestly, I just don't recall. I just remember that there were 3 different type profiles. And the issue that we ran into was that they were shooting both lever action rifles and revolvers at the shooting range. And specifically, I grouped the each different bullet profile into separate boxes, and told the guys that were manning the prop master in a live fire armor that they had brought on, and they had an assistant as well, that the semi-wad cutters would not chamber in the lever action rifles. So best to use those in the revolvers, and ideally the truncated cone and then the rounded bullets, those could be used in the lever actions. And ultimately somebody put a semi-wad cutter in one of the lever actions and jammed it up.
Okay, well, in any event, there's 3 types of bullet characteristics in those reloads that Thel Reed gets from Joe Swanson, correct?
That from what I saw, yes.
Okay. Now you all have this live training offset. It's at a cowboy training camp in Texas in 1883, correct?
Correct. It was nowhere anywhere near a set. It was on, again, Taylor Sheridan had set up a private firing range, live fire area, and no filming was done at that point.
Okay, sir. Then after that set, you then retained the ammo can and the remainder of the live rounds that Thel had brought, correct?
No, I retained the Thale read, yeah, the reloads from Thale, but the ammo can was sent once the first I saw of
Ammo
what was the
cans, like
contents of the
the
ammo
Tin
can
Man
was
from Wizard
actually
of
at
Oz.
the firing
Oil
range on
can.
Texas, and at that point we needed to know how many we had and what variety, because when I opened up the box, it was a jumbled, distribution of 3 different types of bullet profiles. So what I did is previously I'd gotten from Joe Swanson 10 boxes that were flat, brand new. They actually had to be assembled, and I loaded the contents from the green ammo box that Thale had brought into those white boxes. Those white boxes went up to the firing line as well as the empty ammo can. And the ammo can was being used for the spent brass.
Okay. So you did retain some of the reloaded live rounds after 1883 completed.
After the 1883 Cowboy Training Camp, yes.
And those then made their way back to Albuquerque, you've said, to PDQ props, correct?
Yes.
And you don't know whether those returned, I think you've stated before October 21st. You said you were hazy on the date, right?
Yes.
But we do know that you came back to Albuquerque from 1883 on or about October 11th because you met with Sarah Zachary October 12th, correct?
Correct.
So when you came back, you brought dummy rounds from the set of 1883 to give to Sarah, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And those were 45 long Colt dummy rounds.
Correct.
Now, you had a whole group of dummies on 1883. Was how many?
You had a whole group of dummies working on the set of this movie, for God's sake.
5,000.
Okay. So out of those 5,000, you brought some back from Miss Zachary. And at some point, you can't tell the jury when those live rounds came back to your place.
I've never been able to identify the exact date.
Well, you also said on direct they were delivered back. Let me get you the words you used. They were offloaded from your Sprinter van and got moved back to Albuquerque in the bathroom. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, when you said got moved, isn't that you who moved them back?
Yes.
Okay. So in reality, you drove them back from 1883 and you can't remember that date at all.
No, I ballpark it, but it's not accurate. I have an idea of within months or two, or even I can't tell you because I made at least 2 trips back and forth from Texas to Albuquerque, California, back again. I've just not been able to narrow it down.
Did you ever go back and when you were sitting down with Hancock on one of these times and sit down with the calendar and try to look at your trip receipts, look at any kind of credit card, try to figure that out?
Yes, repeatedly. I've probably tried 3 to 5 times to see if I can come up with a picture of either the space in PDQ space in Albuquerque, something that would indicate when I had brought those back. I've just been unable to.
Okay. Now, you said that you brought these back, stored them in the bathroom, and you indicated that that could be a concerning situation if live rounds are stored in the same place as dummies. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
I was
And the
muted
reason why you
because I was
said
eating
that on
popcorn.
direct is that dummies are made to
problem.
look identical in a lot of respects to live rounds.
Nobody knows how live ammo gets anywhere.
You also had
That
within
means
your
nobody's paying
place,
attention to their
blanks,
jobs.
correct, sir?
Correct.
Okay. Why would you store live ammo at PDQ at all?
Well, I've got self-defense ammunition. It's Albuquerque after all, and that's enough right there. And I deal with weapons that should not be out on the streets, and I'll do what I have to prevent that from happening. Unfortunately, that's an unfortunate reality. So there is self-defense ammunition and the remnants of the 1883 cowboy training camp was there. And I, again, don't know the date that I brought them back.
Okay. Now, you keep self-defense ammunition. It's because it's a dangerous town. I think that's what you're saying. And you also keep weapons we've seen in pictures that were kind of out in the open. Looked like they were cases. You recall that?
From the evidence photos?
Yes.
Well, you're seeing what I want anybody to see that would break in if, because again, it's Albuquerque. If somebody were break in, what are they going to go after first? That's what it's set up as. You don't see in the evidence photos belt-fed machine guns, any machine guns, or a lot of other things that were there that are no longer there.
Okay, so you had belt-fed machine guns too?
Oh, yeah.
And machine guns at this shop as well?
Yes.
Okay. So you wanted people to see the, and let me just show you Defendant's Exhibit L14. Yes, sir. Thank you.
You all keep saying he's like sus and he's sneaky and he's slimy. It's not coming through to me. I thought he was much more slimy during his interrogation, his police interrogation, where he's volunteering information, pushing everybody he possibly can think of under the bus. He just seems to be pretty straight here in his testimony to me.
And if you could describe, is this a picture inside PDQ props?
It is.
Okay, sir, can you tell the jury these items, what type of firearms those are?
Well, they look to be long arms, obviously because of the length, but what's inside those gun socks is a mystery. It could be anything from replicas, non-functioning shotguns. Could be anything.
So these were there on October 21st. Are you telling the jury you don't know what was inside those socks?
Definitely not. I have hundreds of guns.
Okay. Are these hundreds of guns inside PDQ props?
Yeah, as well as replica and rubber as well. And replicas they look exactly like a gun, but they are not. And how do we know that's October 21st? First of all, that shouldn't be.
Not October 21st. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting my date. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me.
Okay.
This was the month after in November.
This is search warrant photos.
Yes.
Yeah.
I apologize. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was in November.
Well, see, this is the thing, is that that's because you're not combining then and now. I'm like Dr. Manhattan with this. I'm seeing then and now. You can't see
Everything in
then.
this room
Then
are
doesn't
gonna be
exist.
blanks or dummy
Only
rounds.
what is shown in
Okay,
court
but
exists
and I
at
see
this
them kind
point.
of laying
You have
in
to
bags on the
forget
ground. Is that
everything that
correct?
happened up to the time
So,
they started
did you
trial.
have any kind of?
The only thing is
first of all,
what
before I ask
they
you that,
present in court.
You have a lot of
And
boxes
based on what they
stacked
present in
up
court,
on
he's
the,
not coming across
the
as
shelves
slimy.
here. Do you see that?
Yes, and that shelf holds entirely blanks.
Okay. Did you have any sort of written inventory system for all your boxes and?
Occasionally, I would go through and make a list of what I had. It was casual. What do I need? Joe Swanson would say, "Hey, I'm running off a batch of 223 blanks and or 9mm, whatever it was." And if I was on the road, it would be helpful to kind of have an idea about that. But there's no spreadsheet of inventory that I kept.
Okay, and when you say casual, was it written on a piece of paper?
It was 8.5 by 11. I would end up, with 2 or 3 8.5 by 11s because it's not only, we're not just talking about 9mm, right? We're talking about 9mm that is going to be what we use in the industry, anything from a solid plug load. And in a solid plug load, you can have 10 variations. And then we have 8 flash, quarter flash, half flash.
Quarter flash. Great
So,
group, man.
you had to know what your inventory is.
Quarter Flash put out
by
some
memory
decent
for
songs.
the most part. And occasionally, you know, if inventory got too high in one area, I'd say, well, definitely don't, you know, if Joe says, hey, do you
Pardon
need
my
this,
heart.
respond no, because it just doesn't make sense from a small business standpoint.
And you said inventory through memory. I'm going to show you Defendant's L16. It's just one example. Were you able to remember?
Actually, I
at
can't
any
think of
given
another song
time
other than
each
Harden My
number
Heart
of
off the top of my
each
head.
of those types of boxes?
Well, if I'm handling it on a daily basis, yes. Deficiencies mostly.
Well, and for example, when you have to invoice, like the Russ said, do you have any procedure that kind of tells you how you're going to invoice that?
Typically what I'll do is very quickly, usually movie production.
Well, he saved a quarter of us.
Last minute. And
Quarter Flash. Oh, he
oftentimes
saved 25% of us.
invoicing comes a week or two after the service has been provided. And so oftentimes I'll quickly jot down what it is that's being sent, take a picture of it. And oftentimes things go, if they're shipped, everything goes overnight. So it's a last minute kind of business.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach? I'll show this. Sir, I'm going to approach and show you defendants EE and FF. And I'll ask you if you recognize these two documents.
I do.
You need readers?
No, that's
okay.
What's up, Straubs?
What are those documents?
The Strawberry
This is an
woke up because
invoice,
Yoda walked into the room.
Made out to Russ Production with Sarah Zachary here as well.
And can you look in the back of the one you just looked at and see what the sticker
Keep
number
Quarter
is?
Flash
on the back of the page?
alive.
Just flip it over.
Brian Blessed is the man.
Yeah, that little sticker.
Sorry, it's just stream of
This
consciousness
is FF.
streaming right now.
Yep.
So you just read for the record from FF, and what is EE? The other exhibit? No, I was just going to ask to move them in, Your Honor. Just have them identify EE.
Okay. So FF is an invoice for blank ammunition as well as dummy rounds.
Okay, and is that your invoice, sir?
Yes, it is.
And is it the same for EE? If you could take a look at that.
And this EE is an invoice for guns, replicas, rubber guns, gun bags, and socks.
Okay, and not get into the contents. You just recognize that, do you not?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
I would move for the omission of those two exhibits.
EE and FF are admitted. You may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Defendants.
So, Mr. Kenny, I'm first going to show you defendants EE, and you were just telling the jury.
Someone
can you
tell
just
these guys to
summarize this?
calm down.
Don't go into every item.
Sure. This is the gun.
No, that was Flash
replica
Gordon.
and rubber invoice to the Russ Production.
Brian
From
Blessed
PDQ.
playing Hawkman. Keep Flash Gordon alive.
Yes.
All right. A pause in the action. We do have one thing that I've starred here to read. Let's see what I starred. Oh, it's DCV Titan with 20 Canadian dollars. So, story I got is Hannah had trouble sourcing dummy rounds. She got an inertia puller and probably live ammo to make her own dummies. Didn't keep proper track of them, loaded a live round. Oh, that's reading things a little bit too far. That doesn't seem reasonable to me. It seems much more reasonable she fucked up, brought some rounds from her dad, her home, or wherever, and kept them in her stupid fucking fanny pack or in other boxes and shit, and just wasn't paying attention.
Okay, Mr. Kenny, if you can just summarize that for the jury?
So that invoice is from PDQ to Rust Production for firearms, replica firearms, as well as rubber firearms.
Okay, and now I want to show you, and this is what you, and the one we just saw, this is what you supplied to Rust, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now I want to show you defendant's FF. And if you can summarize this document.
It's a invoice from PDQ to Rust Production for blanks, blank ammunition, as well as dummy rounds.
Okay, and then if I want to show you the second page of that.
Uh,
What does that say in the second page?
Princess Ara.
It says dummy rounds, 4440/45 LC.
Man, if I was Ming, I would be merciless
So
with
is
her.
this the line where you you invoiced for those 45 long Colt rounds?
It is.
Okay. And so
Little
you,
Flash Gordon
you put
humor
this
there.
together in a group with the other types, correct?
Yes.
And the numbers on the left column, so you start at your dummy rounds, 44, 40, 45, then there's a number 200. Is that the quantity?
That is the quantity.
And then the price per item is right next to that. Is that right?
That's correct.
Shh. Don't say that. Shh.
So these dummy 45 and other dummies, did you rent these to Rust?
I did. What was listed there is not inclusive of actually what was provided to Seth. There were some, as I recall, there were some 44 Henry dummy rounds.
He thought they were loaded with dummies. He thought they were loaded with dummies.
Some 4570. I don't recall exactly.
So were there other invoices?
No.
And King Bob, if you watch
So
Flash
there were
Gordon,
certain
forget what I
items that
just
you
said.
did not invoice for.
That's correct.
Okay. And did that also include what's called primed cases?
No, prime cases would not be in the dummy round line of the invoice. That would be listed out separately, because one is a consumable, the other one is a rental, and prime cases would be a consumable.
And I want to talk a little bit about that, but you provided Sarah Zachary some primed cases for Rust, correct?
Not that I recall. I mean, I'd have to look at the invoice.
What is a primed case?
A prime case is simply that. It's a ammunition case that has a primer without gunpowder.
Yeah, no, because the live rounds in the belts didn't kill
Joe
anybody.
Swanson crimps the end because what happens is that they're too long. If he doesn't crimp the end, they're too longer to actually be functional in a revolver. And they're simply, like a loud cap gun when they go off. They're good for training. They're good for around horses and kids. And certain armorers will rig them up in theater as well. Live theater will use them with talcum powder for an effect with minimal noise and also for close proximity.
Do you recall telling Detective Hancock when you interviewed with her that you had given a number of prime cases to Sarah, and it will be interesting to see what color primers they have?
No, I don't recall that.
If I showed you your interview transcript, would that refresh?
It would help. Yeah.
It's page 32.
No, they found a couple of live rounds in the bandoliers.
sir. If I can have that back. Did you indeed tell Detective Hancock that you had given a number of primed cases to Sarah?
Well, it's interesting because it says prime cases, and that I would have said primed. I never say prime cases. It just sounds like you're ordering some off of Amazon. So I don't recall that conversation. I don't even know what I'm referring to in that conversation.
Well, do you recall that there was discussion about those
What do
being
you give me
there,
side eye
and
for,
that you
Strawberry?
looked for a picture to show Hancock?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. Do you recall stating that chances are they'll all have the same color primer?
This conversation, I just don't remember the particulars of this conversation with Detective Hancock.
But do you recall at all, regardless of the conversation, that Sarah Zachary had primed cases on the set of Rust?
If they're on the invoice and it's a dummy, or excuse me, it's a blank round, and I would include a primed case in a blank round invoice, because again, it's a consumable. I would not be surprised if they got prime case blanks, let's call them.
Well, sir, don't you know that? Don't you know you provided that to Sarah Zachary?
No, it was 2.5 years ago.
But this was traumatic event for everybody. You talked to you remember that, don't you?
I remember it being traumatic.
No,
Yes,
you
absolutely.
you remember providing those cases because you discussed it for 5 pages in this.
No, I don't remember.
Do you recall during this conversation as well that you called a man named Troy Teskey?
I've called Troy Teskey a number of times in the last 6 years.
I'm asking you specifically, during the interview with Detective Hancock, November 1st, do you recall that you called Troy Teskey?
In the interview room, yes, with Detective at the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, yes.
Yes, because he was at lunch. You called him. You were trying to reach him.
Yes, now I understand what you're talking about.
Okay. And do you recall also calling Joe Swanson as you were sitting down with the detective?
I do.
And do you recall when you asked Joe Swanson whether he had put these in boxes, how many rounds he had made in total? He said about 700 is what you said. Do you recall saying that he had made about 700 rounds?
I have a vague recollection of the conversation with Detective Hancock, yeah.
And as you're talking to Joe Swanson and you ask him if they were in the box or the green ammo can, do you recall he's on the phone with you and you're asking if they were in the green ammo can and you say,
Okay. Wow. What's that objection? Can't be leading because they're on cross. No, he's not getting slippery from me. He's testifying really well, I think. Again, you have to forget everything he did. I mean, he's slimy AF based on his interrogations and his phone calls with the cops and all this other shit. He's always been slimy, but he's testifying here on the stand, and you can only consider as a juror the stuff he's
shit. I'm like, oh wow. God. Well, I mean, still trying. Damn. You recall saying that?
Vaguely, yes.
You also recall saying, you said it twice. You said, shit, shit, shit. Well, she still didn't do her effing job. Do you recall saying that?
That sounds like me.
Okay. So when you find out, and I don't want to get into what Mr. Swanson told you, but when you find out whatever you find out on the phone, you say shit, shit, shit twice. Why did you say that?
I think I was worried that it was going to be some of these rounds that that Thale had given to Troy Teskey and had been using, to shoot, right? Shooting live rounds, that somehow they migrated in some of Thale's leather or, through Hannah in some way. And that, again, we were going to be here saying Joe Swanson live ammunition when he's primarily 99.9% of the time, he just provides movies and television shows with blanks and dummy rounds. And that's an uncomfortable situation for Joe Swanson.
So you just gave a long explanation, and you just kind of tried to blame Hannah in that, didn't you, just now?
Yes.
How did I do that? I don't.
Well, you gave the implication that you were worried that this was going to be some that Bill had and Troy was shooting, and again, that's to try to link it to Hannah, isn't it?
No,
Okay.
I'm just telling you my thought process at that point, trying to figure out where did the Rust live ammunition come from, and was it going to point back to Joe Swanson?
Okay. And do you recall on July 11th, 2023, you interviewed with myself and Miss Morrissey? You recall that, sir?
Yeah, the Zoom meeting. Yes, I recall that.
And do you recall when I asked you the same question, shit, why did you say shit? You said, I don't know. And that was the extent of your answer. You recall that?
Yes.
So back in July 11th, 2023, your memory, would you agree with me, would be fresher to that time frame when you said it than it would be now?
Well, not if I had reviewed things or something else jogged my memory of that event, or because it was an emotional time, and that I found that largely when things are emotionally charged, there kind of needs to be
being
some kind of
evasive
gateway
doesn't mean
between
slimy.
the present and recollecting
Not wanting
how
to
I felt and the way
answer
things were at
questions
that
directly is
time.
kind of what every
And I
prosecution
understand,
witness
but
does on
would you agree with me? You
cross-examination.
gave a different answer on July 11th. I don't
But-
know than you do today.
I don't know if I don't know is really an answer, other than at that moment
Yeah, it
in
is.
time after us discussing it, I hadn't thought about saying shit 4 times in an interview with a detective.
The rounds, again, that went to 1883 came back at some point to your place. Again, some of those reloaded rounds from Joe Swanson were Starline brass.
So the
See, that's what I'm saying.
1883
I don't think
Cowboy
it sounds
Camp,
slimy to the
to be
jurors
specific.
because they
Yes,
don't know
some
how
of those
slimy he was
Thale Reed,
during
Joe
the police
Swanson reloads
interrogations
came
and
back to
the
PDQ.
subsequent
No.
telephone calls and shit.
And
They don't
as
know
well,
that. So they're just
some
seeing
of
him as this
your
guy that's
dummy
testifying.
rounds also were Starline brass, correct?
Correct.
I think he should have been
And they
charged
had
myself.
nickel primers.
Correct.
And the live rounds found on set that were Starline brass also had nickel primers, correct?
On the set of Rust,
Yes, sir.
from the evidence photos, yes, those were nickel primers.
As well.
Yes.
Okay. And in addition to providing replica firearms, did you provide rubber firearms to the set?
To the set of Rust, yes.
Okay. Did you provide over 3,000 rounds of ammo?
I don't know what the total of, if we're referring to
Blanks, too.
blanks, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the total is of blanks to Rust. I've never totaled it out. Well, other than the invoice, that would have been the only time.
Okay. When you would get a request from Sarah Zachary for additional rounds that were needed, would she come pick those up from you at your place?
I think once the
He looked like a
initial
surfer dude a couple of years ago.
supply
He had his hair,
of
wore a suit.
blanks and firearms were provided to Sarah, there was only one other occasion that I can recall Sarah coming and getting anything for Rust from me, which was on October 12th.
Okay. And do you recall Sarah and Hannah coming before Russ started to your place?
I do.
And at that time, didn't you give Hannah her leathers as well as firearms and ammunition?
I vaguely recall that, that she got that done.
Because in fact, Hannah had mailed you
again.
the leathers back from the old way at the end of that set. Recall that?
Yeah, she had shipped everything from Montana to me in Texas.
And so when you received those in Texas and the leathers and everything else, you brought them back to PDQ Props?
That's correct. They the leathers were in the same box. They never got pulled out. The replica firearms did get pulled out, but the rest of the leathers remained in the box.
Okay, sir. Then you gave that to Sarah and Hannah for their use on the rest set. Is that fair to say?
Well, whatever she was going to do with it was up to Hannah and Thale.
Okay. But you know they got used on the rest set?
I don't know that. I can assume that's where that leather went to.
Okay. Now I want to ask you some questions about the dummy rounds that you answered earlier. You did indicate that dummies that do not rattle can be dangerous. Is that right?
Dummy rounds that do not rattle are not dummy rounds to me.
Okay. And I think you've said because it is dangerous when an armor is trying to figure out, maybe in a high-speed environment, maybe things are going on, you're trying to distinguish between a live round and a dummy, and it will not rattle. It doesn't rattle. Didn't you describe that as being a dangerous situation?
Well, certainly, because it's like a firearm that you can't check is unloaded. You have to assume that it's loaded or that the round is live and it's not a dummy round.
Yes, sir. And you also stated that you would not source those type of rounds like Middx rounds that do not rattle, right?
That's correct.
And it's one of the things you said that you would not be in favor of having a mixture of dummies, some that rattle.
Thank you,
some
Mama
that
Bear.
don't.
Take care.
That's a dangerous situation, isn't it?
Well, it's I work with prop crews a lot. They're not specialists, they're not armorers, but they are charged with the responsibility of having gun belts and dummy rounds on set. And if they get the idea that dummy rounds don't necessarily have to rattle, bad precedent, deadly precedent.
It sets a deadly precedent. And on this set on Rust, you're aware that there were those types of a mixture of different types of dummy rounds, are you not?
Well, I wasn't aware of that. Because,
well, you weren't before, but you are now, having reviewed the pictures.
Yeah, the Middx round is a costume round that doesn't rattle.
So after you reviewed the pictures from set, you're now aware that there was a dangerous mix of types of dummies, some that rattled, some that didn't.
Well, a Middx round is not dangerous. It sets a dangerous precedent.
Okay.
You know,
and I'm not saying you can fire it. I'm just saying, in your words, it can set a dangerous precedent.
Yeah, it's not an ideal situation. Not at all.
Okay, sir. I want to talk about your interactions with.
Okay, the defense is gaining a little grain. Is gaining a little ground here.
Do you recall you had a?
Hey, Steph, didn't see you here. What's up? How long you been lurking?
As the shooting incident.
Good to see you, Steph.
No,
always glad to see you.
With Detective Hancock?
In a minute.
On October 21st? Don't recall it at all. I don't think it happened.
Okay. Do you recall that on the course of time after that shooting incident, you called Detective Hancock over 40 times?
See, okay.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Okay. I got to pause here again. Now we're getting into the shady stuff. Good for him for getting it in. Because I was thinking you got to separate what he did during the interrogations versus what he's doing here on the stand. The jury only knows what they hear, what they see as evidence in front of them now. Now they're starting to hear you. He voluntarily called the cops like 40 times. So yeah. Now they're sort of setting him up as used to be the guy that's pushing people under the bus, the guy that's trying to deflect attention from himself, the guy that's being a little too helpful to the police. All right, this good move by the defense, I think, because that's the one thing the average guy that may be a little suspicious of the police. The average person that may not have a big thing with authority, they're gonna be okay. Dude's calling the cops like 40 times.
Do you think it might have been higher than that?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
More than that. Oh my
and
God.
During that time, you're sharing information with her. She's sharing information with you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And doesn't she share you materials from the investigation at times?
The first time that I think she showed me anything was when they were executing the search warrant on the prop truck. She was showing me, I think they were black and white, grainy photos.
Okay.
That was the first time I saw anything.
Now, do you recall providing Detective Hancock some of the live rounds before the execution of the search warrant?
I did.
Okay. So you provided her some, and was that in a bag, or how did you give those to her?
Well, interestingly enough, they came from that jammed lever action rifle, and they happened to be the semi-wad cutter live rounds. They were in a small Benelli shotgun choke bag, and I had written on there in black ink live, and there were between 5 and 7, I believe, that I gave her.
Okay. And you volunteered those to her, and she took them. Then they came to search after that. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And again, there was a month time frame or so, roughly, between the shooting incident and that search of your place.
Yeah, I believe it was over a month.
Mm.
It was after Thanksgiving.
All right, now he's getting into what you all were saying earlier.
Did you?
He's got a
have any
month.
inkling or thought
He's got
that
a
they were
month to
gonna
have done
search?
something.
No, not at all.
He's making the inferences.
Even
Good
though you had
move.
been in contact with the detective and other people before that? You knew they were investigating?
I knew they were investigating. I had no reason to believe that they would be executing a search warrant on my business.
Now, did you provide your DNA to Detective Hancock?
Echoing
No,
the
I
bunny
did
man.
offer
Good
it, though.
stuff.
You offered it?
Yes,
And they did not take you up on that?
that's correct.
And they did not take your fingerprints either, did they?
Well, my fingerprints are in the system already. If you're a federal firearms licensee, that's just part of the licensing, is that your fingerprints go into the digital federal system.
And I understand that, sir, but my question was, did they take your fingerprints?
Again, no.
Okay. Well, they didn't take it the first time. That was somebody else.
That's true.
Okay. Now I want to ask you a different topic. After this, you were asked on direct if after this October 16th accidental discharge, you had an argument with Miss Gutierrez Reed. Do you recall that?
By text message, yes.
Okay. And you recall after that you wanted to fire Miss Gutierrez Reed?
Mm-hmm. Say yes. Just say yes. Get it. Don't lie.
It wasn't
Don't
that I wanted her
obfuscate.
fired because it wouldn't be for me to fire her. She can
Look,
tell
I want
people
half of my
to
damn
hell
office
all day
fired, but I
long,
can't do
and
it.
It wouldn't make a difference to the Rust production. It doesn't, I've got 5 sisters and 2 daughters. I'm used to it. So if Rust production is happy, and they were, Sarah Zachary said she's a great armor. That I've seen the defendant Hannah, she sent me the text message that the director had sent her after a big shootout on blank ammo shootout, big shootout.
And Mr. Kinney, my question was pretty simple.
Okay.
Let me ask it again.
Okay.
You just testified that you did not want to that you did not want to fire Hannah. Is that your testimony?
It's not that I wanted her fired.
He doesn't want to. Yeah. It's
She's
already
doing a
been
horrible
testified
job,
that she
props.
called
That was
Sarah
my
a
shit.
cunt, and you wanted her fired, and
Okay,
Sarah
you
wanted
answered
her
my
fired.
question, and I just want to know. It's a real.
I had mixed feelings about it, and I
Okay.
think that's why, in fact, I reached out to 2 common friends with Thale, saying this is the situation.
Okay. Well, do you recall in your interview on November 1st?
He was doing so
stating,
well.
She was just being an idiot. I wanted Sarah to get rid of her.
There you go.
Collectively, yes. I mean, even
There you
now,
go.
frustrated with her, but at the same time,
That's the problem. You obfuscate.
understand.
You don't give
what
the
she's
right.
up
You don't
against.
give
So
this a consistent answer.
It's a
and they-
mixed bag of
they slap you
emotions,
upside the head
and
with it.
and ultimately was
Sir,
not
my
my
question
call.
was did you remember stating that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's what I asked. Now,
There you go. His credibility's shot. He's being evasive. He's lying. He's not wanting to testify. And I didn't really. And then all they do is they just bring up his previous testimony, saying, I wish you'd get fired. That just answer the question. Don't think you're smarter than the lawyer, even smarter than this guy. Don't try to be too clever by half. Just get on the stand, answer the questions, and move on.
do you also recall in the July 11th interview stating, well, I wasn't going to work with her again in the future? So you wanted her fired?
Yes. Just say yes. Say yes, and it all goes away, Seth.
Again, it was, there was some
Now
mixed
he's going to
emotions
pound you some more
in the situation. If I really wanted her fired, I could have gotten her fired.
You just said you couldn't.
Let me ask you that. If you could have gotten her fired, you could have talked to somebody on set. Who was your contact on set?
It would have been, well, Gabrielle Pickle was actually Angel Nijum was my first contact with production at Rust. And then it was Gabrielle Pickle, line
He
producer.
just said I couldn't.
unit
I
production
wasn't in charge of
manager, Will
firing her. I
Walters.
couldn't. Now he
Those
says
would
he
have been
could
the
do it if he
ones
wanted to.
to fire her. Sarah Zachary was willing to work with Hannah and get the movie finished.
And
Yeah, come on. That was he was done. I just like how matched they are. That was just a bad thing for him to say. Again, just say yes. I wanted her fired, and then they'll try to make the implication that you. Okay, looks like we're breaking. What the hell? She's got a Swifter there. What the fuck is that? Oh, it's her light. She's got some sort of. It looks like she's got a broadcast light there of some sort, whatever, or a Swifter. I don't know. Looks like they're going to take the lunch break now. Yep. It's lunchtime. Wow. All right. Oh, hey, strawberry vanished at some point. You can remove that. Move me up here. Okay, people. Hannah doing a little bit better today because of Seth. Seth could have nailed the coffin shut if he just would have stuck to the script and if you just answered the question, because he was coming off as a good witness. Forget what we know about what happened before this trial. But then again, he refused to answer the questions. He got in trouble because it was a very simple question. When he said you wanted her fired, all you had to do was say yes and then deflect any question saying, well, you wanted her fired so bad you planted the live rounds. Any implication to that, he could deny. But there's no question he wanted her fired because Sarah made a big stink about that. And what did it get him? It got him nailed to the cross for 10 minutes there on cross-examination about that one stupid thing. And it destroyed his credibility and made him look slimy. So there you go. But as you that have been following this know, now is when I make my break. It's 3:54 a.m. here in Korea. So as always, we're going to cut it short here. We're going to cut off the stream for today. And tomorrow when we come back, we will pick up the afternoon session at 1.5 speed, hopefully 1.75 if we can squeak it out. And until we finish that, then we'll start tomorrow morning stream live until we catch up and we'll go to the lunch break. That's what we do here. And also, we'll have a special early stream from 8 a.m. Eastern to 10 a.m. Eastern, doing the What the Hails deal. We're going to be watching a hearing, the first hearing in the whole What the Hails thing with the crazy judge that has just gone rogue. So stay tuned for the Hails thing at 8 to 10 a.m. And then at 10 a.m. Eastern, we will catch up on the trial. Let's see here. We got all the chats, all the membership stuff. And all right. That looks like it's time there to call it a day. Mods, talking to you. You are the greatest. Mods, you are the best mods that ever modded. Thank you so much for being here. People, thank you so much for your generosity, your support. Thank you so much for the super chats, the gifted memberships, the purchase memberships. Thank you for all of that. And chat, thank you. Thank you for making Vice Squad the best chat there is on the entire internet. You guys are so awesome. I appreciate you just being here. Thanks to everyone. Look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. Come back, hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. The last thing we got to do is take a peek at the poll. How do you feel about the case now? Hannah should be found guilty 58%, not guilty 42%. Now it's going to be interesting to see whether Seth is their last witness. As I said, I'm going to stick by my guns that say that Seth should be their last witness. Aaron Hack says, shit. See ya, Jeff. Well, see ya, Aaron. See ya. We'll talk to you late. Let's see. Where are we going to go? Let me pick somebody. The problem with sending over to Danny is Danny goes and eats lunch at lunch and kind of there's just like nobody there. And I feel bad about sending people to where there's nobody. Let's see here. End the poll. Go to studio. Where's our studio? And let's see. Scroll on back. Content. Live. There was the live. Customization. Redirect. I'm going to send you to Eric Hunley. I'm going to send you to Eric Hunley because Eric Hunley is friends with Seth. And he's I know he's talked to Seth a lot. And he's doing Seth's testimony here. So let's go check out Eric Hunley. Tell Eric Hunley hi. All right. This should be interesting. Take care, everybody. Tell Hunley hi. Tell him Legal Vice Ascension. We'll see y'all tomorrow, 8 a.m. or 10 a.m., depending which stream you want to watch. Take care. Love y'all. See ya. Lorax saying peace out. Bye now. As soon as I find it. There.